soldier in the lab coat, lantern, jaw, shadow, microscope, halo, petri dish, tableau, stir plate, cyclone, liquid gold, whirlpool, feeding spore scripture through the culture school. Samantha with the steady hand, razor like a plan, shaves a sliver off the egger like a desert wind can. Jars clink, hymns when the shelf choir hums, every lid's a sealed drum where mycelium comes. Keep spawning culture, roots in the rust belt soil, turn dust into kingdom with the clean room toil. From the block to the plate to the LC shine, every strand's got a story in the Mossy Creek mine. Yo, Mad Hat Hatchery, pink oysters tap dance, lion's mane maneuvers with a heresy.
Hey, y'all. What's going on? That's right, Teddy. You tell them. Say, hey, everybody. Where are you, Teddy? Come here. Come here. Up. Yeah. Here's my Teddy boy. There's Teddy. He's wanted to say hi. You see this, Teddy? See that? That's you. You don't even care, do you? Don't even care. He doesn't even care. Well, we're going to give people a few minutes to get in here, and then we'll start talking mushrooms. 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 You spoiled rotten. You spoiled rotten. Just give me kisses. All right, I'm going to put you down, okay? Careful. Good boy. All right. Well, I hope everybody's having a good time. We are streaming on, looks like Facebook and YouTube, but my X stream failed this time. And my Instagram one did not go because I had to do it manually, but it's up to exception. And Myco Nerd, glad to have you guys. I don't have a lot planned. I got really kind of horribly sick at the beginning of the week, end of the weekend. Beginning of the week, it just one night I was feeling good, and then I woke up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had like a feeling like I was swallowing glass shards and razor blades, and it was one of the worst sore throats I've ever had my entire life. But it stayed around for a couple of days. A couple nights ago, my fever broke, and so, but I didn't get footage and all that kind of stuff planned because I've been just, dealing with all that. Little kittens. We got little kittens playing. There you go. You can see them a little bit easier now. There's little baby kittens. That's the mama right there. Right there. That's mama. She wasn't supposed to get pregnant. In fact, she was supposed to go be fixed. But she likes to run around the whole neighborhood. What's up, Amped? Glad to have you. I'm just sitting there chit-chatting, talking about all the little animals in the office. Oh, it's my favorite kitty. It's the ginger kitty. It's the ginger kitty. Hispanic gave me the ginger kitty. This one's the least derpy derp of them. And my favorite. And it really wants down here. You can go back to mama. There you go. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. Like I was explaining, I'm just getting over sickness, so I don't have a lot planned, but I am here for anybody's questions or mushroom needs. Theoretically, as we get into it, we'll probably make 2 or 3, the same announcement 2 or 3 times to try to figure out the rotating audience, but what are you doing with your butters? You talking about the kitty? You talk to your mom about that, buddy. I read it, the whole thing. But I'm saying when I'm in this case, I don't get a say. Only your mama gets a say. Okay. I was just playing with the kitty, Joe. If that's what you mean. And if you want one, you can come get it. I have a 2-year-old cat that looks like him. Oh, really? Well, you can come get a younger, hotter version right here. I don't think I can mail him, but you might have to come pick him up. But I don't think you're far. But yeah, she was supposed to be fixed, and then she got out like the night before we were we were gonna have her put in a little kitty kennel, and she ended up leaving all night for 2 nights, and then came back, and then we made a new appointment, and then they figured out she was pregnant, so she had 2 little kittens. I'm forcing my family to listen to this one. What, like, do you have a wife and kids, or do you have parents, or who is listening to me, and how clean should my language be? I mean, we got to get at least 20 minutes before it gets weird. I have your Jaybird oyster on grain right now. Is there any specific characteristics of that strain? I don't know a lot about it, Myco, nerd. There is the Jaybird is in testing pretty hardcore right now, so it's brand new. We found it in the heat of last year. It weirdly enough seems to be an Austriatus, which means a true oyster rather than something like a Phoenix oyster. When I grew it, it's one of the most aggressive oysters I've come across. It's a pretty standard white oyster, and it was a pretty heavy yielder. And it was pretty standard from what I saw, except that it kind of grew all these these little leaflets. And so instead of like one big cap or something, which is weird because when I picked it in the wild, it was one gigantic cap, basically like a huge cap. I had to break it into like 5 pieces to get it in my saddlebags for my bike. What's up, Josiah Tucker? Stoked for today, taking all the strain testers on grain tonight. Nice. I just got word. Excuse me. Let's see. My Pacific Northwest tester just got his strains today. And someone else in the South got. See, just I'm trying to remember if you're Southeast or Southwest rep. Off the top of my head, the other Southerner got his to grain a day or 2 ago as well. So I'm pretty excited to see. This is, guys, what we're talking about is the first trial series of the strain tester network. So we have a regional strain testing network that we're trialing out and seeing what we can do here. So with my wife and her parents and her brother. Oh gosh. Oh man. We'll try not to keep it too weird so they won't be freaked out by your mushroom hobby. I'll try to be good. Might have been acting strange the past few weeks. Figured out why. Wife's cancer's back, home hospice now. Oh, the cats. Gotcha. Yeah, man, they can really sense stuff. It seems like the cats and I do not really do anything together. Like the cats and I have like a leave each other alone policy. The cats love everybody else in the family. They tolerate me. I tolerate them. I love their mousing duties, but I'm not a big. I like the kittens, but Teddy, I'm more of a dog person most of the time. That's what I grew up with. But I have noticed, like there was when I got sick and was on oxygen and stuff, the cats were actually much closer to me, much nicer to me. So they weren't the crazy a-holes they are oftentimes. The culture is crazy aggressive. Yeah. The Jaybird it is one of the most aggressive oysters I've ever seen. So one of the things I'm planning on doing with it is breeding it. Actually, I need to go pull that. There's a first flush I've got on there that's just kind of gross looking right now. I need to pull that off and get the second flush going for spores. But I was really impressed with it. Hey, Rose, good to see you too. Oh, well, the Facebook audience is building up a little bit. There we go. And the YouTube. Trevor Cox. Hey, everybody. I'm in the middle of moving on short notice and need to move my entire mycology study along with 2 kids. Pets, library, all in a month. My experiments are going to have to be put on hold. I feel you there, man. Life gets in the way sometimes, right? Mushrooms are here to support life, not our lives to support the mushrooms. So it's good for you to take a break when you need it, man. And I trust me, Spann, I've talked about moving. Like I don't even know what I'm going to do with all these books the next time we have to move facilities or anything like that. So, uh, Ian, and for any chance of doing these lives a little earlier, I love the chats, but 10 at night is a struggle. Well, considering most of my audience is in the United States, anything earlier than 5 means everybody's at work. However, I have seen that about 10 a.m., 9 to 10 a.m., oh crap. Oh my gosh. Super smart guy in Thailand. Samantha, we had him on the show. Ed Grand, my gosh. I don't know. Oh, my brain, it's every time I get sick, the inflammation or something. But anyways, I've noticed he does them like 9 or 10 a.m. here. So I don't know what to see what we can do. I'm planning on having these bounce for the next while anyways. I'm going to try to tonight or tomorrow I'll try to get next week scheduled and maybe we'll try a 10 a.m. see how it does. 9 a.m. is a little early for me. I like to roll in as late as possible. Southeast down in Texas. Okay. They weirdly got stuck in Seattle for a few days to come in. Seattle? Why in the world would they go to Seattle? That's crazy. So southeast down in Texas. Okay. The Texas could be split either way. But yeah, I think you're my southeast rep there. Josiah Tucker said that his well, he got it. I don't know if he got it today or yesterday, but he was saying that they spent. They said they're coming today, but they weirdly got stuck in Seattle for a few days. Has it been weird? Samantha does all the shipping. I don't keep up with this stuff. So yeah, she just said that she's seen stuff that's supposed to ship straight to Kentucky, just a couple hours north, and it'll ship out to California and then back for some reason. She said, "Why it has to touch the West Coast and then come back east?" She doesn't know, but it's been doing it. Are you like I'm thinking about switching to FedEx for my spawn shipments because my goodness, the UPS has crumbled up. We pay for a daily pickup, and they don't check in like ever. We have a couple of drivers who do check in, but they don't have this route anymore. So I don't know what's going on, but the mail system is just insane right now. It's just not. I don't know. Rose on Facebook says, "Got my container full of mushrooms." And Rose, it's good to see you. I don't know if I said that earlier when you said great to see me, but it is good to see you too. Rose came and did a mentorship with us. God forgive me, Rose. I can't remember how long ago it was. It was earlier this winter, I think. And it was my first time trying a vegan steak. It was a mushroom steak. It was actually made with Neurospora crassa. I think it was Neurospora crassa. Yeah, it's crassa. It's one of the ones that's commonly a mushroom contaminant. But it's that's what I thought. Seattle. Yeah, I mean it's just the way it goes, man. They're it's weird. It's weird. And then my drivers that have been there for 20 years or whatever. One of my drivers that's like the best driver I have, who is no longer on this route, but he used to have the route whenever I was in high school for my house. So he's been doing it a long time because I haven't been in high school since 2004. But he was telling me the company's just falling apart. But what I was saying about the fungal steak was that I tried it and grilled it, and I'll be honest, I like regular steak better. But it was an interesting thing getting to try a mushroom contaminant as a food. It was interesting, definitely different. But it's probably what people are going to be eating on Mars. You have to grease the drivers personally. Yeah, I stopped paying. I stopped paying the UPS their daily check-in fee or whatever. They'd be like, they are checking in. I'm like, no, they're not, and they might check down here on the end of the suite, but not with us. So USPS has been really good to us, and then UPS have been good to us for years. But FedEx is now who my neighbors use. Ben Manowar Innovations. They use FedEx a lot, and that seems to go really well for them. So here we go with the freezing again. Okay. I was going to say, is it just going to be completely frozen? Okay, back on. I don't know why it keeps freezing like this. I'm having trouble, and it's just with the streaming software. I have turned everything off. Well, Steam was still on. I was playing some Battlefield 6 before I got on here. Say hi to Sam, the kids, and Teddy if you get a chance. Well, Teddy was on here just a minute ago, but I will tell him, and Samantha and the kids, wherever they have disappeared to. But I will absolutely tell them that you said hello. We have been doing quite a bit of mentorships this year, which is nice. But yeah, Rose, things are a lot different actually than the last time you were here. We've changed things up a lot. So I can't remember exactly how things were, but I know that you were here when we were in kind of a moment of flux. So things have actually started to shift that direction. And we're doing, golly, like working on plant tissue culture. Yours was in March. Yeah, okay. So yours was in March. That means that we had like, I think we probably had just started some of the plant tissue culture. But we're moving into a lot of website heavy stuff. So working on that. Absolutely ever evolving. We're doing so we're doing the plant tissue culture. Like I said, we're doing the mycologium. So we're bringing in a lot of cultures and slanting them. So Samantha and I just when you were here, we had the 2 labs. Now we only have 1 lab. We've condensed everything down to a packing room and a lab. And so now where I was working with 1 flow bench now has 2, which means that Samantha and I can work side by side. And so here lately, what we've been doing is I'm just working, cutting up stuff, dividing up tissue and plates and stuff, and handing them off to Samantha, and she's wrapping them. And that has, like, yesterday was our first long session of that. And I will say, I can't believe it took us this long because that was the fastest lab work has ever gone. That was the most work I ever got done in such a condensed amount of time. And then it freed Samantha and I up to do other stuff. So it's different, but we're getting very, very productive here. Joe Beach. What's up, brother? Watching from Maine. Well, welcome to East Tennessee broadcast. We're just kind of sitting around talking right now. What I've been telling people is I've been sick past weekend, so I don't really have a strong plan for today. Normally, I try to have like a topic or something going on, but today it is just us answering questions and working with that kind of thing. Working on the fly. What I was telling people is that I was feeling great, and then went to bed and woke up like 3 or 4 a.m. Had really like the worst sore throat I've ever had. I mean, like I was swallowing shards of glass, kind of feeling, and got over it. Had a really bad fever a couple of days into the sickness. That night, I was like, my lymph node had swollen up real big. At the I was considering waking Samantha up to take me to the emergency room because I have to do that sometimes I get these sicknesses. But in the middle of the night, my fever broke just before I did wake her up. And with that, I was fine, and it got better pretty quick. But then Samantha informed me there's some new COVID variant called I think it was called the razor blade or something like that, or I can't remember. It's some new version of the COVID that specifically affects the throat. But beyond stoked to come up for the week. Definitely tripping about leaving the op for a few days. But this time last year, I couldn't even consider it. Yeah, man. Well, that's how it evolves. Yeah, you're not far from coming up for your mentorship. We won't talk about the date. Just that way you don't have people knowing when you're not going to be home or not. But yeah, it's not far. Hey, Ted, that's enough. But yeah, that's I'm pretty excited to have you up here. It'll be interesting too if you're putting stuff to grain today. You're gonna be cutting it close, so hopefully you got somebody down there watching them bags. Sounds great. I still have to get a new hood filter. Yeah, that's pretty important for the filters. Flow hoods do require them. Excuse me. Yeah, we've been working on a bunch of new stuff. I finally got the ready to fruit block page up. So we've been offering ready to fruit blocks, so I've been surprised by how few people actually know that we sell ready to fruit blocks now. So that was something we started doing a while back, and then put a pause on when I got sick. But when I got really sick, but now we're not just doing it ourselves. We've got a partnership we're working in on doing it, and it's working out really, really well. We actually are able to ship through the summertime without refrigerated shipping and have really good success even to southern growers. So that was something that we figured out, and it's really differentiated. It made us a lot cheaper for people in the south. Got my grow room up and running, and I have some 5-pound blocks in there to test the humidity and airflow. Next step is setting up my steamer. Ooh, you're getting close, Michael. Mr. Meacham, you're getting close. That's exciting. The new grow rooms are always exciting. New labs have always excited me too. But yeah, I'm always excited to get the new infrastructure stuff. So, but hey, Andrew, glad you're doing better. Thank you, Caden. Question: what has been the best tool in your toolbox in overcoming bacterial blotch? At what phase? You just want like in the grow room? Because if it's just in the grow room, there's a couple of different things. Cold weather is always the nicest. The best tool has probably been the humidistat. Programming your humidistat to have wet and dry cycles, and then just letting it naturally find its balance that way. So like a low end of somewhere around 65%. The top I put at about 85, 90. 95 is something I used to say a lot, but I haven't put it up to 95 in a long time. But what happens is you want that grow room socked in with fog to support pin development, and then you want it to bottom out and dry, pretty dry, so that the floors and every surface gets dried. But then you don't want the mushrooms themselves to dry out, of course. So that's probably been the best thing. But then you got lower temperatures. You have keeping your flies down. Flies spread it like crazy. Good sterilization of your blocks. A lot of people don't realize that blotch can start in the block. So, but if you ever see it on a first flush of blotch, just go in there and remove any cluster that's small, and you just got your blotch going. Just clear every pin off of it, just re-expose the surface of the block, and then let it fruit again. And usually by the second flush, yeah, it'll delay your flush by a few days, but you'll get your weight in the second flush. It'll just be a much bigger second flush. So, got a family here, luckily, to keep up production, watching bags. Yes, it is cutting it close. Can't give a piece. No kidding, man. Are you bringing a +1 with you? You know that's included in the price, right? You're absolutely allowed to do it. Hoping Ben will have a big one by the time I absolutely need it. How much are you ready to fruit? It depends. We're doing quotes based on it right now, but depending on how much people order, it could be anywhere from $10 to $12 a block for a 10-pound block. It also depends if you're wanting a 5-pound block or a 10-pound block, because we'll do both. But you can shoot me an email and we'll get you a quote written out. But we can do it pretty affordable. Now that's not including shipping prices, which I'll have to get LTL shipping quotes and check my companies, but we can absolutely do that. And then as far as Ben for the flow hood, Yeah, he just got the wood fabricator to start. He just got the sizes for the fan mounts. So we're going to be offering some wood ones. And we got some exciting stuff coming with the wood flow hoods, I'll just say. But I'm not going to say what as of yet. But we're doing a partnership on the big wood flow hoods, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty sick. So, but Ben will have them ready very soon. So by the time you're in need, he'll have them for you. 24 hours early yesterday and 20 minutes late today, but I'm here. Well, sorry, Aussie. Yeah, apparently in my sick fog, whenever I scheduled it, I scheduled it 1 day early. So as soon as I got the notification, I was like, shit, I'm not doing a live stream in 30 minutes. So I went and changed it as quick as I could. But sorry for the confusion, everybody. Hopefully it doesn't lower the audience too much today. Grow room problems mainly for the blotch. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing I've got is the thermostat was the biggest thing, and then just cleaning them off, realizing that you don't have to throw them away, you don't have to do any of that stuff. Shoot, I've missed like 2 workouts too, being sick. I feel like a big gross fat pig today. What advice can you give if you're trying to grow continual successive grows? I know it's strain dependent, but I'm just trying to get an idea of how to start. So let me break this down for just a second. What advice can you give for trying to grow continual successive grows? Hold on. Oh, gotcha. Huh? Yeah, Samantha said just be consistent in your weekly production. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for us too. Yeah, you want, let's say your mushroom blocks are producing on average 2 pounds per block first flush, and you need 400 pounds, then you need to produce 200 blocks a week, and you need to make sure you produce those. And the best thing to do is produce them on the same days as much as possible. Plan on the same day. Like it's just like having a job somewhere else. Like you just come in Monday, you do this, Tuesday you do this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you have your work week, you have your cycle, you work your cycle, and just make it a sacred cycle. Just this is a thing about what I really do. Just go in and day after day, allow it to get boring. Allow work to get boring. Don't overthink the steamer, Michael. A hardwired 1440 watt element on a GFCI outlet has been a game changer for us. No more burning up electronics. Run 42 5-pounders in a 55-gallon drum, 2 drums a day. So you're doing 5-pounders. That's right. Yeah, I mean, so there's different kinds of steamers. We do the trough tank. So it's a 300-gallon trough. That's what we do when we're running our ready to fruit blocks. So we just do an ultra pasteurization process, and we can do 120 12-pound blocks. Well, 10. So it's like what 130 10-pound blocks or so at a time, every couple days. But it doesn't have to be crazy. Bring in my wife. Good. We're stoked. She's very excited to see how Mushroom Wife operates. Crazy, but now we're more organized and dialed. I want her to see what she can really accomplish. Well, that's good, man. Yeah, so the grow room is not spectacular right now because we do just a small amount of stuff. So we'll go in there and we'll show you everything that we do and work it all. And I'm sure she and Samantha will have plenty to talk about their crazy mushroom husbands. So, it's definitely I definitely took Samantha for one heck of a roller coaster ride. That's for sure. Ian says, I was invited to an oats mill today. They were very interested that we were going to test it in our substrate. The mill is 18 months old and produces the cleanest grains I've seen. Good price too. Good. That's the big thing is the price. My favorite grain probably in the entire world is red Milo. I love it. It's so beautiful, and it's just, and it's what I grew up around here. Muddy Pond, sorghum syrup. I mean, we always just called it molasses, but it's not molasses. Molasses is made with sugar cane. But we used to have Muddy Pond sorghum syrup every day on biscuits and stuff like that. And That's, typically when you're growing sorghum for the sugar cane, it's got the red grains to it. So I don't know how Andrew feels, but I fought blotch with colder temps and about 100 and 150 ppm bleach my fogger. I don't really have an opinion on the bleach. I don't really know. I mean, bleach thankfully dissipates, so it's not. And bleach is food safe, considered up to a certain. I think it's 5%. You can technically wash vegetables, that kind of stuff, in a 5% bleach solution. So the biggest thing is really just trying to make sure your mushrooms don't take a bleachy taste, which I don't think would necessarily happen. I mean, 100 to 150 parts per million is that's pretty low. That's a low percentage. So I don't really have an opinion on it. I've not really seen it. Okay, and thanks for the tips. So the bleach in your fogger is probably helping. Just go back to Josiah real quick. The bleach in your fogger is probably more along the lines of helping keep blotch down in your humidifier. The bacteria will absolutely, like, you'll get a biofilm, which is just bacterial sludge in your humidifiers, and those foggers, they'll add them, especially the acoustic, oh my god, ultrasonic. Again, my brain's not working super well. But the ultrasonic foggers will absolutely, like, send droplets with bacteria in them up there. So you really want to, like you said, that bleach really helps. We used to use a UV light. Nowadays we just use city tap water and descale stuff, and it runs through pretty quick. Thanks for the tips. I've been struggling with first flushes competing with blotch, and it's dampened my yields. Seems to only affect certain blue varieties. I'll get at you soon about spawn. Heck, absolutely, man. Sounds great. Blue varieties. So King Blue, I know, is typically more susceptible to blotch than a lot of others. It really seems to be the fat-stemmed oysters that are more affected by blotch. I'm trying to work on the fatter stemmed oysters because they always have the best texture, but they do suffer more from blotch than just a lot of regular other ones do. Also, I've grown this Maine cap and stem with a chocolate or whatever it's called. I got off somebody, and so I don't know. I went on Maine cap and stem's website. I didn't see it on there, so I don't actually know where it's from. But I will say that thing has been like nothing in my grow room is blotching, and that mushroom will blotch. And it grows weird stems every chance it can. I've been really weirded out by it. Again, I don't know anything else about it other than it was given to me as the Maine cap and stem chocolate, and it was not. Which I was not expecting it to be a blue oyster, but it was a blue oyster. So I hope these oats work well. It can make things a lot easier. I'll tell you, man, ever since I was switched over to oats, my life has been easy peasy. I'm not going to promise you that it'll be that way for you. You also want to make sure with the mill that the growers they're getting it from, and the mill itself is not spraying antifungals, because in a lot of wet climates, like here, sometimes they'll spray stuff. Like they'll spray sorghum with antifungals and some of the infertile causing pesticides. And so when we were using red milo, sometimes we'd have to soak those if we didn't get it organic. I think the cleanest we ever got was from Seth at Mushroom Media Online, but it was more expensive because we had to have it shipped in. So we could go to Tractor Supply or the co-op. We could get stuff, but when we got stuff from the co-op, it wouldn't grow until we started doing a triple rinse and soak, or soak and then triple rinse, because of the antifungals that they would throw to it. Now, oats typically, from my understanding, are not sprayed with antifungals, but someone just recently told me I was wrong on that. But then again, I've never, and it could just be a regional thing. I don't know, but just check with them, Ian, and don't go whole hog on anything. Test it first. But yeah, oats were. I know people like their small grains. I know people like millet. I don't understand the appeal of millet. I think millet is like one of the absolute worst grains. out there. It is so expensive, and I just don't get it. I know a lot of people do, but my wife and I are making bags every morning. I load barrels at a certain time every day. I do my short colonizers early in the week, longer stuff my last 2 or 3 days of the week. Yeah, that's exactly right. You just get a cycle, and you just work that cycle. Something I'll give you another piece of advice for people too, wanting to know about how to solidify their their week, the consistency, um, is don't throw your body in the breach, so to speak. So, and this is something that Samantha struggles with a lot back in the day. But if there was a problem in the system, some unreasonable part, Samantha would be like, screw it, I'll work all night. I'll work till 3 a.m. I don't care. You know? And she is a hard worker, and she's got a strong ethic. I don't know what you're saying, but I don't even want to hear it. Don't even want to hear it. I won't leave you alone. You married me, baby. It is my duty to not leave you alone. But I'm being nice to you. I'm about to give a story about growth. You're just at the early stages. You're at the hero's call right now. So, um, she would do that kind of thing, and I'd be like, no, we'll just do it next time, or we'll do it next week. That kind of thing. And she's like, no, that'll interrupt our consistency. I'm no, but I'm not going to do this every week. If there's a weakness in the system, just allow your system to fail. And then in that failure, redesign your cycle, redesign your system, be a little bit more considerate to yourself or kind to yourself, or a little earlier in the process, that kind of thing. Maybe you do stuff. And it took Samantha, I think, a while to see the value of that. But eventually she's like, okay, I get it, because she said, but then she felt like a failure. But you weren't a failure. Well, we were failing them, but we were not. We were doing our due diligence to make the system better, which is how Samantha and I had, when we were growing mushrooms commercially, I mean, we were doing more mushrooms than I've ever seen anybody do on fewer hours than I've seen anybody do. And in the square footage that we had. And that came, and that is important. And that came in large part due to just allowing the systems to fail, and then, just fix the system. Do it over and over and over again. But yeah, like Josiah's saying here, like you want to create a schedule. You want to stick to your schedule. And what's cool about creating your own schedule is, like, Samantha and I would have date days. We would go out there and do deliveries. We were only working 18 hours a week back before we got into the supply side of the business. Has been the hardest thing. Growing mushrooms and to restaurants was living life on easy mode. But the cycle just got to where we could have a lot of fun. We had how many, what was it, like 2 or 3 days a week? We would spend a couple hours a day doing art together. We did. I know. I want to institute that back. We would, we would just work on stuff. Like we trained. I was lifting weights considerably, doing martial arts and things like that. And so, I mean, we were building into your schedule. People think you got to build a schedule. Every moment must be busy. No, the nice thing about building a schedule is you can build in tons of free time, tons of design time, tons of social time, all that kind of stuff. Trevor Cox, for you personally, how many years after getting a flow hood did you decide you wanted to make a living at mushroom cultivation? My flow hood was purchased. My first flow hood was purchased by one of my first investors into the business. So when I knew when I wanted to do the business, and I had been doing work in a still air box, and then a flow box, I guess you could call it, which was just that investor had actually built. And then when we first started Mossy Creek Mushrooms, we approached a couple of friends, and we just said, hey, want to get in cheap on the ground floor and work with us, on this kind of stuff. And Ben, who you guys probably know, the creator of Thor, he's one of the owners, one of the guys that got in early. So, but that's how I got my first flow hood. Was I knew I wanted it to be a business before I got the flow hood. I pretty much knew that I wanted to do mushrooms uh, as I was working in, like, as a business. As I was, okay, so started growing mushrooms, and then I started working, and excuse me, got laid off. It was like 08, 09. It was 09. And then layoffs just, it's like from 09 to 2012, it was hard to just keep a job in the factories. They'd open up a whole new line. So then I'd work it. 3 months later, that line would be shut down. We'd be, luckily we were slated to find a bunch of other stuff. But the rest of it basically came down to I was working on the carrot cake line or whatever, and they that's when I found I was allergic to walnuts. They wouldn't move me, so Sven was like, "Why don't you just go home and stay there? You're already doing stuff." So that's pretty much when we started the business. Before that, I had been working in aquaculture, and then but I knew I wanted to be in mushrooms even then. But I figured I'd be a microbiologist, or so it's it was kind of a long meandering path to get here, but I was just growing mushrooms at home for a long time. The way we grew them in school, I was making agar, pouring it in plates, and then I would microwave each plate to sterilize it. That kind of thing. I had a still air box that I would work in. Masked Mofo's on. What's up, bud? Yeah, long time no see. Oats changed the game for us. Andrew's recipes are legit. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I put a lot of work into them. That is for sure. And I appreciate that. That actually makes me very happy. In the mushroom community, when people say hydrated to X percentage, is that the percent of the total weight of the block or the weight of the dry ingredients? I do it. There's people do it different ways. But when I say hydrated to a certain percentage, I mean total weight of the block. So a 12-pound block hydrated to 60% is what, 7 pounds water, right? So 7 out of 12, that kind of thing. So that's what most people mean by that. Some people go into these weird calculations that just, to me, I just keep the calculations as simple as possible, I'm moving to Pennsylvania soon, and read there's been a demand for Milo there, so farmers have started growing more and more to come. Well, I mean, Milo is certainly, like I said, it's one of my favorites. It's one of the few, I think, that really compares to oats nutritionally, and it is, one oat is about the size of 2 Milos, so it ends up having the surface area people want a lot of times, which if you want surface area, just throw a bit of sawdust in your bags, which is what I always try to figure out, is why people, like, that's way better inoculation points and surface area. Josiah Tucker, good to hear, buddy. Any advice gratefully received? Oh, about the oats, yeah. I added another 1,000 pounds to my yearly harvest, not including the improved yield over wheat bran, since we refuse to grow with soy. Super Spawn has been legit, but grain to grain to Super Spawn does what we need. Yeah, so that's actually what I do most of the time is I'll make grain masters, and then I go from grain to Super Spawn. But I don't tend to go but more than a generation or two. For my people that can't get good wholesale oats from a mill, use Chewy. All my non-GMO Canadian oats show up. Wait. Like for the dog company? Like the dog food company? Chewy? I didn't know you can get oats through Chewy. What's that, baby? So we all know how Andrew feels about dog food. Yeah, you grow on dog food. Screw grain. Just use dog food or cat food. Cat food, by the way, Meow Mix, which I want so badly. I still have not done it, but I want to create the Meowsters mix. Samantha really hates this idea, which is why it's not happened yet, really. But protein, your nitrogen, dollar to gram. Cat food, even though a 50-pound bag of Meow Mix is way more expensive than grain, it is actually cheaper per bag to get your protein content. And people in the Europe and stuff, they'll use fish oil, all the kinds of stuff to grow mushrooms. So I don't have a problem using that kind of stuff if it's good enough for my cat to eat. And you don't hear about mass poisonings of your cats. So if it's safe enough for one of my family members to eat, it's safe enough for my mushrooms to eat. I get a 50-pound bag of millet here in Ohio for $18. Okay, so that's cheap. That's not what I get it for, man. I'm paying like $50, $60 for a 50-pound bag. So that I can understand. If you're getting it for that price, then sure, I understand it. I still wouldn't want to work with the grain. I'd pay more but $18 for a 50-pound bag is what I'd pay for oats. Good wisdom. I was brute forcing making bags 7 days a week. 5 days a week was a great sweet spot I can handle with a peace of mind. Keeps my daily work below 4 hours a day when I used to work. Yeah, that's what you got to do, man. You got to be good to yourself, and you got to keep. When I used to work 12 hours a day, growing the same amount on ready-to-fruit blocks, not even making blocks like I am this season. That'll change things too. I think people should do ready-to-fruit blocks to start, but I do think people should get off of it at some point until the ready-to-fruit block market is so crowded that the price collapses. And then at that case, everybody should be doing ready-to-fruit blocks because it'll be cheap. It'll be about as cheap or cheaper than what you're going to be able to do yourself. Exception to the rule. Great tip at Josiah Tucker. I never considered Chewy in the U.S., though, so my options may be different. Yeah, I hadn't even heard this, but Josiah's in the U.S., too. He's down in Texas. Oh, yeah, like he said, I'm in Texas. They were the only place I could get quality oats down here. You should have Tractor Supply. That's where I get mine. Josiah Tucker, we tried wheat bran in the early days. I didn't like the excessive contamination. Soy hulls have been the best for us, but a very high price. Huge savings if oats work. Testing now. Yeah, and so some people have complained that the 65-35 on the oats has been a little light compared to their soy yields. I didn't find that to be the case for me, but you can always up your oats a little bit. Go to 40, 45. You could always do 50-50. In fact, our grain spawn, Samantha can attest to this. Our grain spawn's a 50-50 mix. It's a 50% sawdust, 50% whole oats, hydrated to 50%. It's my tree fitty mix. But those spawn bags they're hard to keep in stock because they fruit so fast, and the first flush yields are fantastic on them. So Samantha actually dislikes it a little bit. She wants me to go back to grain spawn because grain spawn didn't fruit nearly so much. She said it doesn't grow in as fast. It's true, and it definitely, or if it did. Santa said she's mad at me because she's like, I'll miss half my shipping deadlines because stuff's already fruiting in the bags. And she's got to remake it and call people, and that's her least favorite thing is calling people, being like, I don't have what you ordered. It fruited. Hey, Andrew, question about the super spawn. I made 6-pound bags, 50 Douglas fir, whole oat at 40%. Used 10 milliliters of LC pink gold oysters. Not seeing growth after 5 to 6 days. I know I'm eager to. Well, so I was having really good results with 40%, but a lot of people told me that they preferred the 50%. So I bumped it up. I actually need to do some sort of thing on that video where I can overlay something where like I've now switched to 50%. LC takes a lot better is what most people were struggling with. So a little, you can always go up in your liquid culture, which was something I was doing. So you can do like a 60 mil syringe, 100 milliliters of liquid culture, so if you buy a syringe and you expand it, you can just put a bunch in a bag that's hydrated to 40%. But if you're going to use something like 10 mils, or you want it to grow in a little faster, the 50% seems to ease that transition. So you can always bump up your water content. Use Andrew's sub recipe. My 5-pounders take almost 50% less volume than wheat bran or soy, so more in my cooker, and they shake so much better. I shake at least twice as fast compared to Master Mix. Yeah, man. And what Samantha and I have found is that in the bag shaker by Manowar, they work a lot better. The bag shaker actually works a lot better with that mix. Because this mix just crumbles apart, so there's even less work involved. It's just like when you get up here, I'll show you the bag shaker. You're probably going to want to leave with one or two of them. Colin, I want to hear what Andrew says because I'm new to Super Spawn, only about 4 weeks in, but LC has been slow for me, even with 30 mils. I'll switch to 2 milliliters, pint of grain, Super Spawn, done in 4 to 5 days. Yeah, I mean, so you can always do grain to grain. Again, a lot of people are doing 50% now, and I've even switched to the 50%. And then I like to use 60 mil syringes when I'm inoculating grain. So, just go with that. Hit that like, yeah, guys, hit that like button. Myco Nerd's always on it for me. Thank you, man. He's like my biggest hype man. I love Milo, but the prep sucks. Overnight soak never worked for me. Simmering sucks and takes babying. Yeah. Well, when you get up here, Josiah, I'll show you what we do, but we just bag and go. We don't do any prep to our grain. We don't even clean it anymore. I mean, gosh, all that little dust from the oats. Mushrooms love that stuff. Horse food chewy. They sent me a letter asking me to create a profile for my horse. They're going to get a photo of my fruiting room instead. I like that. What's that, baby? Yeah, it's fair to say whenever I got sick, we really learned, and I guess by we, she means her, really learned to simplify things quick. It's true. When I went down, we found any way to get around work we could. Meowster's mix sounds great. Watching from Holland. Hey, awesome. We're international now. The problem with ready fruit blocks is that you are stuck with their varieties only. That is absolutely true. Though if they have good varieties, it's not the worst thing. But, you don't get the diversity. That's for sure. And sometimes people want that diversity. Sometimes there are growers that only want to grow one mushroom. And then there are growers that want to grow every mushroom. So... And then there's everything in between. I've got stringent markets that need non-GMO, no spray. Coffee phosphate isn't near as prevalent in Canada. Tractor Supply oats are $24. I'm paying $26. Okay, so that's actually... Man, your oats are $24 for non-GMO Canadian oats. So that's why you get that. Okay. Andrew, what percentage mix of oats for shiitake? What strain works? Sorry if I'm being cheeky. So, let's see... Whenever I've been doing the shiitake, I have grown on my grain spawn, the super spawn, the 50-50 oats and sawdust, and that worked great. And I have grown on the 65-30, and that worked great. So both ways. With oats seem to have been very, very, very forgiving. I have grown practically every mushroom now that I have grown in the past on my spawn bags, the 50-50 mix, and they all grow great. And then I've grown them on the 65-30, and almost everything has grown just like it would otherwise. So I don't know if oats are just like almost like a slow release fertilizer or what, but it's like the most wide species mix I have found to date. So, Lucid says, "Good day, Andrew. Thanks so much for all the information that you've supplied to the community. You're very welcome. Thank you for thanking me. I'm looking to start up a part-time farm next year in Australia. Any chance that Thor will be shipping down under?" So I don't have anything to say about that. That's not mine. But I know Thors have shipped to Australia before. But I see someone is actually in the chat right now, Seth Fisher. He does all the shipping for Man of War. So... he would know, but in fact, they make Thors that don't have any wood and stuff in them now. Like none, they're all plastic, fiberglass, metal, etc. And they, as far as I know, that would meet the international shipping pretty well. But I don't know if they do international shipping. The best thing to do would be go to probably Mushroom Media Online's website, do the contact us form, or if you know how to contact Seth directly, do that. But the Thor baggers are from Man of War, so unfortunately, I actually don't know much about that. We are talking about potentially selling them ourselves as well. We have not worked into that. We are doing the stir plates. I miss the Mossy Creek mushrooms. Well, you'll have to get them soon when you get your flow hood. For sure. I don't think ready-to-fruit blocks will ever be competitive. Oh, yeah, there's Seth again. I don't think ready-to-fruit blocks will ever be competitive due to shipping. I think that's the case for now. I think you'll get regional spots. I mean, you're shipping the substrate. I know that you're adding water, so it really just depends. Production costs aren't actually all that high. So yeah, it's one of those things you gotta really just do the math on and see if it would work for you. But I think at some point it would be possible. I don't think ready-to-fruit blocks will ever be competitive if you're shipping so much water and refrigerated shipping is pricey. Well, that's the thing. Like, right, I got around refrigerated shipping in the summertime. So I've got a way to do that makes mine more competitive, especially through the summer. But the water weight is definitely a thing. That's why I think that the centralized block manufacturers for regions would probably be the better way to go. So instead of me shipping to like New York or something. Good night, people. Gotta go play. Start tomorrow. Well, good night, Ian. If you're still here, good night. Lucidar, I'll go halves with you and Thor. There you go. Let's see if we can't get a bunch of Australians to go get some Thorsies. I tried blocks from Pennsylvania 10-mile mushrooms when I first got the big from Andrew. Ended up months later begging a local farm to let me work for blocks instead of hourly. Yeah, 10 Mile. I think I've talked to those guys before. We'll just have to see what their price is. I don't remember now, but I think for some reason I thought 10 Mile was in Colorado. No, I'm thinking a Mile High. Though I do know who 10 Mile Mushrooms is. But I've not bought anything from them. Your ships. And refrigerated shipping is pricey. Your ships. 2 to 10 pounders an hour is 2 10 pounders an hour is a good wage, especially since I usually get about $40 a pound, and the farmer is paying me less than $6 an hour. Yeah. Yeah, apparently. Big bug. Wait, what? Big bug. I'm so confused now. Good night, you guys. Oh, good night. You heading off as well? That's where I get mine. 10 a block or 10.50 for organic. Gotcha. Yeah. From 10 Mile. If it's a 10-pound block for a 10 a block, that's a pretty good price. $1 per pound for substrate. And then you got to figure out what the shipping price is, unless you're doing your own pickup, and even then you'll have to figure out what your time and gas and all that stuff is worth. Their prices are great. Shipping killed it, doubled the invoice at least. Yeah, that's the way it often goes. If you can get LTL, that's a good way to go. But you have to be really careful shipping LTL, living product. Thank you. I saw the DIY bagger kit ships to Europe, but alas, nowhere in Australia listed. I'll ask over on Mushroom Media. The Aussie close to the capital. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would just reach out to Seth and or Ben. Seth owns Mushroom Media Online. So if you do the contact us page, it probably will get to him. That poor cat. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Well, this seems like a good time to do a sponsorship real quick. That way I can go pee. Be right back, y'all.
Introducing the future of mycology. Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery. This isn't your average culture mix. It's a revolution in a packet, crafted for the dedicated cultivator seeking unparalleled growth. Experience the visual alchemy of this masterful brew. As you mix 10 grams with 500 milliliters of water, watch the solution transform into a rich amber spectacle, the hallmark of a nutrient-dense sanctuary for your burgeoning mycelium. This is where vibrant color meets vibrant life, setting our elixir apart from the ordinary clear liquid cultures. Prepare to be captivated. Mix 10 grams of Dr. Silurian's elixir with 500 milliliters of water, add a stir bar for thorough integration, and sterilize the blend at 15 psi for 45 minutes. Once cooled, introduce your favorite culture into this perfectly prepared, nutrient-rich environment. Watch in awe as the elixir works its magic, unveiling a mycelial masterpiece before your eyes. Choose Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery for a mycological adventure that's as visually enchanting as it is potent.
Woo! So I got back. I sat in my chair, and my chair had like risen while I was gone. All right, let's see. Rose says, yes, they're selling the 10-pound blocks. So it's $10 for a 10-pound block. Shipping works if you buy one or more pallets at a time and refrigerate in between. Excellent. Broken Hill. I don't know what NSW is because I'm not Australian, but when I got the bug from Andrew to buy ready to fruit kits. Your short 2 minutes work the top down video got me started. Working backwards. Got me started. Ordered 80 blocks before I grew one mushroom. Oh, good Lord. Well, actually, that's not a bad way to go. It gives you plenty to work with. Jesse, not the bot. What's up, bud? Mushroom Media Online. Lucid R full Thor baggers will definitely ship to Australia, but DIY kit can happen too. Most bang for your mycelium buck is to get multiple pallets. Yeah, I mean, that makes the most sense to me. Ordering in mass is always going to do you better. Spent second season, learning how to sell mushrooms and build an authentic brand. Then got into the meat of producing blocks, etc. I'm getting by now, but the mentorship will sharpen my up big time. I think it will, man. I think you'll come out of it. We'll come out of it knowing where you want to go a lot more too. But see that Mushroom Media Online Suite, probably not the best place to talk details. So shoot an email through soon. Yeah, I mean, you guys can, but you're right. It's probably not the best place. Everybody will know your business. So, but yeah. So, I mean, we're doing like we've been doing the ready to fruit blocks. I'm ready to up the game on it a little bit. So we did our page on it. That was something that some people had brought to my attention, is that they wanted to do ready to fruit blocks, but they wanted to do my genetics, and there's not really a lot of places to get my genetics and ready to fruit blocks. So most people have to, make it themselves and order liquid culture in or spawn at the very least. But we went ahead and started trying to work with those. I moved to the 5-pound blocks primarily. When we do ready to fruit, I'll do 10. I'll do custom recipes if people want. But the 5-pound blocks for the spawn is perfect. And then I've been really enjoying them in the grow room. They're just so light compared to what I've been doing before. Oh man, the daughter is a little upset. Samantha's making her actually clean. Oh, man. The Aussie 1970, my uncle and cousins used to live in Tibu Borough. That sounds like an awesome place to live. I mean, I always love Australian names. You guys have some of the silliest, bobiliest names. Hey, Andrew, much love from Belgium. Love your content. Well, hey, man. Much love from East Tennessee. We actually had someone from Belgium come and do a mentorship with us last year. I think it was last year. Could have been the year before. I can't remember now. we get a lot of people in coming on from all the place, and it's actually been cool. We've had people come in from Thailand and Belgium and a couple of different islands out of the Caribbean, and of course all over the United States and Canada and even Mexico and Germany, and well, we don't need to go into all of it, but we've had quite a bit of people. South Africa was another. But I mean, it's been kind of crazy. Like the international ones are a little harder because I don't know the markets, and so I always have to do a lot more reading and googling and schooling, trying to get up to date on it. Let's see. Oh, give me one sec. My cord is wrapped around my foot. There we go. Today we ended up doing quite a bit of stuff on like I'm trying to catch up, from being sick. So I made all my masters today because I'm just like people where I tell them to produce the same amount of work to do the mushrooms for the spawn. We're producing the same masters every week to make sure that we get the spawn produced, and that's kind of why we've simplified our spawn menu, and it's about to be a little bit more simplified down to about 5 strains. And we'll probably rotate those strains, but the spawn is being simplified because it makes it easier to produce regularly, consistently. So we did that, and then like I said, Savannah and I did that side by side where we've moved our flow hoods next to each other, and we've palmed out plates like crazy. And I'm a little bit behind. I still have plates from bioprospected stuff where I did my initial cleanups and then set them aside from the end of last year, and I'm still working on my way through all those, plus normal stuff, because orders always have to come first. Money always has to come first. We run 5s because my parents are older. Handling 5s has been a ton easier, and since I run 50-gallon drums, I can fit 10 45-pound. I can fit 10 45-pound more substrate into a drum. Gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot of people. So a lot of people that get in that are like at retirement age and whatnot, we usually suggest that people go to 5-pound blocks. It's just easier. Yeah, you got to handle twice as many, but I mean, you can handle twice as many because they're smaller. So our mom used to pick up specks of gold in the street after a rain. What? That's pretty slick. Could you give an estimate of the cost to set up a small mushroom farm? Well, Michael, that's a lot. There's a lot into that. So we're going to make some assumptions. I mean, I'm going to assume that you've got the space to start a small mushroom farm. Well, okay, let's do it this way. You're going to need some pieces, and some things I would skimp on and some things I would not skimp on. And depending on what you mean by small, I'm going to go with small, meaning, let's see, we'll do, let's just say a couple 100 pounds a week at most. So if you're doing a couple 100 pounds a week at most, you could probably get away with like a 150-gallon sterilizer. And then you could cook your grain in that as well. So it'd be good enough for both. You're talking, a few thousand for that. Let's just say after shipping, let's just go a little high and go say it's going to cost you $4,000. Though I think you can get them a lot cheaper now, especially if you get the Chinese versions. You can get them a lot cheaper. I think you might be able to get them as low as $2,000. And then you get your flow hood. At minimum, I would want an FFU, but really, I would want a flow hood. I prefer horizontal flow. The nice thing about those is you can oftentimes get those fairly cheap. And the wooden cabinet ones, I really prefer. They tend to be quieter. And that's going to cost you a couple grand for the full-on flow hood. If you get an FFU, you can usually get it for about half that. You can get something for like $700 to $1,000. Then You got your you're gonna have to have your humidifier, your a grow room. If you already have the space, you can set up for a few $100s. If you don't have the space, one of the easiest things to do is to buy like a Gorilla tent or a Vivo Sun tent, and get going into that. And then you have your various sundries. You want to stock up on some of that, a couple pallets, that kind of thing. So like it, 10 grand and you're pretty comfortable. If you want to bootstrap it though, you can bootstrap it. I absolutely bootstrapped it. And so it's possible to completely bootstrap it, have, almost not have not $5 to buy anything with. So it kind of depends on how nice you want it, how deep into the process do you want to get by spending the money. It can be really about as cheap or as expensive as you desire. That be said, like a good 10 to 20 grand would get you a fairly nice setup going, a really good setup going, especially at the 20 grand edge, and would give you a fair return. That'd be a good sweet spot. Now, if you want to get huge, then you've got these big autoclaves that you're going to have to pay multiple tens of thousands of dollars for. It's not the way to go. And if you wanted to do, let's say you wanted to grow somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 pounds a week, you don't even have to use the autoclaves at that point. You could just use pressure cookers for your grain spawn, and then use a trough and a steam generator to make your steamer setup. And you could do 120 10-pound blocks 2 to 3 times a week. So that kind of thing. I hope that answers your question. When are you going to go up to Belgium mycelia for their training? I've heard from some other experts that is the place to go. I don't know. I might not ever. I had someone wanting to take me up there when they went and just pay for my way, and I considered doing it then, but I hadn't really had much plans in getting up that way. They might like that. They are certainly subject matter experts. Like, I'm not throwing shade at mycelia for any reason there. I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing, but I'm branching into some other things, so I'm not necessarily wanting to go deep into the spawn production kind of thing. So I'm rather picking up some other side skills kind of thing, like plant tissue culture. You'll see some stuff when you get up here. Hesitant to start because mushrooms aren't really a part of our culinary culture. Should I be hesitant about this? Do customers find you anyway if the quality is good? Well, so if your culture is like the United States, people can be pretty flexible. I come from the Scots-Irish descended people here, and they're about as fungophobic as you could possibly get. And so, that's. I'm not going to say. So I know people who grow some of the best mushrooms I've ever seen, and they couldn't sell their way out of a paper bag. And then I know people who grow really shitty mushrooms and can sell like crazy. And I will tell you, being able to sell is always going to help. If you can, the biggest thing is if you don't have the salesman gene, but you can grow the best mushrooms possible, get a salesman or get someone to sling your mushrooms for you, and pay them well, because they are the engine of growth for you. But or the other side of it is get your mushrooms in front of people, free samples, markets, that kind of stuff. That's exactly the way I'd go. I personally, I guess I've got the salesman ability, but I hate it. I don't like selling stuff. It's just not. If you don't want to buy something, I have no interest in getting you to do it. My interest is purely financial, and I'm just not as motivated by money, though I probably should be. But yeah, to me, it's like, because of that, I just gave samples out. I gave samples out, full case samples, and then just explained to them, here's who I am as authentically as I can make it, and here's who we can be, and here's what my expectations are, and I'm going to try to temper your expectations that kind of thing, and just chipped away at it. And I that's a great way to go. It built up very, very quick. So startup price would depend on how handy you are. DIY is always cheaper. Yeah, we were talking about this today as a family. Was it in engineering? Was it a saying that you can have something 2 out of 3 ways? You have fast, cheap, and quality. And you could have quality and cheap, but it won't be fast. You can have it fast and cheap, but it won't be quality. You can, et cetera, et cetera. But you can only have 2. You can never have all 3. It can't be fast, cheap, and quality. So DIY is cheap, and you can do DIY cheap and well, but it takes time, right? And that's what I found was that DIY bootstrapping, it took me longer to get to some of the places I wanted to be than it did other people who didn't always DIY stuff. So it's just a trade-off. If you want to get into it, I think DIY is a great way to start for sure. My first farm cost me almost $20K, almost $3,000 a month in expenses. Started over after break even, and I'm producing more than ever before, and I'm about $5,000 to $6,000 into this farm. I hated paying rent in my shop. Yeah, rent's a bitch, that's for sure. Speaking of great names, the capital city is called Canberra, which comes from I don't see. It comes from what? Why a flow hood over an FFU? Aren't they basically the same? Yes and no. So FFUs are built for a different purpose. They both are filters, fan filter unit, and then HEPA filter. They're both filter units for sure. So a HEPA filter is a flow hood, rather, is meant to be a standalone unit. I know people. The guy who took me under his wing when I was first getting started had his lab was on his back porch out in the middle of the woods. His house was out in the middle of the woods, and his lab was on his back porch. He had his hood covered with plastic, and he'd go out there, turn it on, uncover the thing, let it run for a few minutes, clean his workspace, and then work right there out in the woods, and produce clean work. And the flow hood definitely helped with that, right? FFUs, I know people get really upset when you say this for some reason. A flow hood has better filtration than an FFU. They both filter at 99.9995%. Yes. But an FFU filters at 750 cubic feet per minute, whereas a flow hood will do something like 1,500. And of course, both of those depend on what kind of fan you're using and what kind of unit you've got. But generally speaking, like a flow hood will do a lot more cubic feet of air per minute at the same filtration level as an FFU, which is, doing half as much air or 3/4 as much air at the same filtration level. So one is actually filtering a lot more than the other, because of the increased airflow. And so if you increase the airflow on an FFU, the filtration would go down, 97%, 95%, that kind of thing, because the filter would become less effective the faster you ran air over it. So I prefer flow hoods because A, they're the standard, and B, they trust me, like I said, I bootstrapped and I skimp on stuff a lot of times. But there are things that I will not skimp on, and the flow hood was one I did not want to skimp on. So now we did this last flow hood I got for half the price, but it's because my business partner built the cabinet, and we just ordered the parts, and he didn't charge me to build the cabinet. So, that's a little different. But I got that one for about $1,000, which is about the same price as you'd get a good FFU for. Now, at the same time, let me make this clear: FFUs absolutely work. People produce clean work on them. I am not disparaging them. I think they're a great tool. If you can afford it, I prefer the flow hood. If you can't afford it, there is no shame in an FFU. They do the job. Anything that'll do the job, there's no shame in. And yes, I was 16K in before I grew my first mushrooms, then realized buying ready-to-fruit blocks wasn't going to cut it. Then I started bartering for local blocks. Dang, that's a lot of money to throw into it, Josiah. So don't mention Coburn on the South Australian border. It's spelled that way, but pronounced Coburn. Interesting. Excuse me. You think of all this caffeine, I wouldn't be yawning. I think it helps to give out cooked free samples, especially to explain explain to people how to cook them, because so many people don't know how. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't do that at our market. Our market required that if you were going to give out cooked free samples, you had to have. I basically would have to have one of the food trucks do it for me, and they'd have to serve it at the food truck. They wouldn't allow me to serve it where I'm at, kind of thing. So we didn't have the ability really to do that. If you also up right now, you'd wonder how really it's the laminar flow hood over an FFU. I'll catch a cat sleeping near my flow hood pre-filter and can pass plate tests 100. Yeah, it's just a peace of mind thing. Now, and I'm not saying you should have a cat sleeping near your pre-filter, but in fact, you guys can. So that's the first stage of our filtration into our lab. It gets pulled in right through there, and then right there, and it froze. Just keeps every now and then it'll just freeze. My computer will go dark, and then it'll pop back up again. So, like, see, it's frozen right now. I don't know if they're still hearing me or not. Maybe you guys can let me know if you are. But it's about to come back on. There it is. So, anyways, what I was saying is we have the filter there, and then there's a filter laying horizontal, which is the pre-filter in the hood. And then, of course, you have the filter face. And then next to it is another flow hood that is just recirculating the air right now. I said, yeah, they're hearing us. So apparently it's freezing for me, but it's not freezing the audio. Can you see me? Like, if I started picking my nose at that moment, would you guys notice? Did it not freeze? Boy, that'd be embarrassing. Yeah. Praise really, yeah. FFU is great for a block knock room. They are, absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, too. I guess I forgot to say that part, is that FFUs are made to work in concert with other FFUs. They're literally made to drop into, like, the ceiling tiles in, like, office spaces and labs and stuff. They're made to where you can take out one of those. See, the picture froze, but not the audio. They're made where you can take out one of those ceiling tiles and then drop an FFU in. And then you'll have, from the ceiling, it creates a positive pressure room with well, then the Aussie said no freezing here, audio or vid, Brody. So some people are getting part of it and some people aren't. So yeah, for a block knock room, what I would do if I could afford it would be to put in those drop FFUs, create a positive pressure environment. I wouldn't even work in front of a flow hood. I would just have my employees just crank out blocks just in the room, open air. But the open air room would be so clean because we're just pumping air in. And then, of course, I would watch my flow. So I'd have all the bags, all the open bags one direction, all the employees downstream of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then just work my way into it. Speaking of great names, the capital city is called Canberra, which comes from an Aboriginal name meaning meeting place or between women's breasts. That is a meeting place. That is where we like to meet. I learned the hard way, even with all your free knowledge. Did it right at this farm, and it shows big time. Well, I mean, you can lead a horse to water. No, yeah. The problem with starting off is that there's so much conflicting information. You don't really know what's important yet anyway. So even though I'm spouting off stuff and I'm telling you, like, I think this is important, the truth is that there are plenty of people who've done it the other ways that have succeeded. So, it may have been important to me, but not necessarily that person. And they might have a level of success that's, just as good or better or worse or whatever. So, okay, yeah. So the Australians didn't have a lot of freezing going on. No one else said. So maybe it's just here, up here in the States. Oh. I'm getting stiff sitting in here in the chair after working in the lab all day. I've been sitting and sitting and sitting. What's one of the other things I was going to talk to you guys about? I had something else. We had a lot of stuff going on, but we had a surprise inspection by the fire department today. That was super fun because I had a big, we had a mess, big mess that we had left, and so that was kind of embarrassing for them to see. But other than that, I only got like 6 or 7 infractions, which is actually not too bad. Ben next door, I think he got 6 or 7. It's an old building, and we have a lot of old wires that aren't hooked up to anything, so we gotta clean all that stuff up. Even the fireman though was like, it's not a big deal. We're just gonna take pictures of it. We'll write you a letter, and the letter will just say, "Hey, do this thing." So, beyond that, Battlefield 6's beta opened today, so I couldn't help myself there for a short time this morning. Jumped on and played a couple of missions with the Mush Bros. Wasn't planning on telling you all that, but there's that. So if anybody wants to get in on that, you're welcome to. We don't get fire inspections here. Really? I thought Australia was a Western country. But the other side of it, the mushroom thing, is that all of our substrate, I'm looking at here right now at all of our plant matter. Not these though. That's nice too. But I've got all this plant matter out front. So we've decided that this coming spring we're gonna try to sell plants out here. We have just too good a road frontage, and I didn't do it this year, even though I could have, and I probably should have. But I'm gonna work on getting the systems down and the infrastructure down to get a nice little nursery going out front, and then we'll probably do mushroom logs and wine cap kits, spalting experiments going on with some of it, and then there's a couple of mills here that we'll work with as well. So it'll be very much a fungal themed, or a nursery with fungal threads through it, of course. But I wouldn't mind getting back into the local economy somewhat there with some of that stuff. Plus, I might do like aquatic plants. That'll be very interesting. So, I'm an Aussie abroad in Italy at the moment. Interesting. He's in Italy. He's an Aussie. That didn't sound so good. That's my best tip I could ever give to anyone. Don't let the vast information cloud of success refer to the one and only king of mushrooms, ACR. Okay, so you can't butter me up before the mentorship. It doesn't get you anything extra. No, I will totally work for flattery. The freezing was basically the same last week, too. I think audio dropped out once briefly. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had fixed it. I might take my computer apart and blow all the dust out of it just to see what will change. Like, is it a heat thing? It doesn't feel... Well, the air off of it feels cool. I don't know. Oh, maybe I should update my... maybe I should check and see if it needs to be updated. We don't get fire inspections here. Andrew is too humble to accept the title, but all the ecomaniacs want what he was made to do. But all the egomaniacs want what he was made to do. Where the king is humble in the heart. I appreciate that, but again, yeah, I'm but a humble servant of the mushrooms. Where do you think the biggest innovations in the hobby will come in the future? Oh, Battlefield 6. And it is fun. Biggest innovations in the hobby will come in the future. Where do you think the biggest innovations will come in the hobby? That's really hard to know. I think we're seeing some interesting signs, but I think there are bits of mushroom cultivation that I have seen people just completely ignore that I think is. I'm just sitting there going, what are you people doing? You have no vision, that kind of thing. So there's interesting stuff to be done in micromaterials. If you biggest innovations versus nearest innovations versus I don't really know what you would say. Biggest by impact, biggest by financial dollar they'll make, biggest by there's a lot of you asked me an open-ended question, and I struggle with those because my mind sees too many different threads. I'm not great at reducing things down, so my mind tends to want to spread instead of reduce. But wait, you just said something. I mean, culture, equipment, etc. Okay, so you're talking more like what we're already working on and like what kind of things will happen. Well, I think now you said hobby, and my mind wants to differentiate hobby from industry, but I'm probably going to answer it from an industry question since that's kind of where I'm at. And then I'll come back through and try to go into the hobby phase as well. So in industry wise, I think automation is going to be the biggest innovations. So you're going to have stuff like there are things being done with a Thor bagger and some other things that are really making for some nice things. The bag shaker, I just cannot believe that it's been slept on so hard. As far as the industry goes, it is. I know they're expensive, considering that it's a small piece of equipment and that it's kind of pricey. But the bag shaker, I mean, I got one of the prototype ones, and I'm lucky I got it for free because, yeah, I probably too would not have considered it much of a thing. But it has saved me so much time, especially 5-pound bags. I can shake 2 at a time. So with spawn, I'm shaking 2 at a time. It allows me to do with one person what I would normally do with 2 to 3. By the time you get the bag cracker involved, you probably don't even need a person to pre-soften the block for the shaker. So I don't know. Are they selling the Kraken yet? I don't actually know if they're selling the Kraken yet. But if they're not, there should be. But anyways, the bag shaker's one, but you have the liquid culture to bulk, and these are both of these are innovations that have already happened. So I don't know what I'm finding with genetics, with innovations, with equipment, with anything is that pretty much you'll have it released, it'll be out there, and it floats around for 2 or 3 years with no traction before it finally gets traction. I've tried to shortcut and curtail that kind of thing and bring a much faster from prototype to market as quickly as possible, and it just doesn't do anything. It's taken me. King Blue is still my most popular strain, and that's great, but it is not my best strain. It's not, I love that strain, but it's not my best strain anymore. I think the Mossy Creek oyster kicks its pants. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like it's permeated. It has to hit enough social media accounts that people are posting about it. And people are going, "Where did you get that?" And then I got it from there. And then so on and so on and so on. And then you got to get a bunch of other people selling it before it's like, oh, now there's like 15 people selling King Blue. Oh, that must be a good strain, right? So it's hard to kind of, I don't know, it's hard to work that out, I guess. How to get it in out quick. So most of the innovations that will be coming to the industry um, are already here. Um, Many people probably already know about them. They just haven't. They haven't made it through the zeitgeist yet. Um, but like I think like liquid culture to bulk is going to reduce labor. I think that the automation of shaking bags is going to reduce labor. Um, that's the biggest thing. Anything that will reduce labor because we're heading into a world where we're reducing labor as much as possible, anyways. And then B, mushrooms are already one of those things that are a very labor intensive thing. So anything that cuts your labor down, and there are still significant gains to be made. So going from a hand sealer to a sealer with a magnet on it, that ended up cutting my lab time down considerably because I could still work on other things while the bag was sealing. The bag shaker does that. In fact, between the bag shaker and the sealer, I'm now like crazy. I'm super busy in the lab. There is no moment of waiting because of that stuff. But then, I mean, like you've got so many different directions to go. Like I think micromaterials is one place that we're going to see a lot of gain. Farming with a pH, so farming pharmaceuticals, mushrooms are just now we're really getting into that kind of stuff. I don't know. There's just a lot. It's going to touch a bunch of other stuff, and I'm still it's too open ended. And it's weird. It's too weird for us to know exactly how things are going to change and uh, which things are going to blow up and which things aren't. So I don't know. That's kind of what I would say. And then hobby wise, man, I'm looking at bioluminescence. I'm looking at bioluminescence hard. I don't think anybody's gone into a selective breeding program for bioluminescence. Once you everybody's wanting to genetically engineer a plant or whatever, but man, if you can just get mushrooms with their quick cycle, selectively outcross and breed for as potent luciferin production as you can get. I really think like the bioluminescence is out there. It's a selective pressure for something, right? But usually that means that it could be pushed higher. There's just no evolutionary reason to select for it higher. But if we do a human selection process, then bam, you can, hopefully get a lot more luciferin going. And then in the aerated setups, something like lava lamp looking thing, you might be able to get the mycelium to glow really well with all that oxygen bubbling around all your little bioluminescent beads. How about predatory plants? I love predatory plants. I used to grow them a lot. Sundews are one of my favorites. I probably will get into some of that. In fact, I wonder, let me look it up real quick. Are there sources for plant tissue cultured predatory plants? Boop, 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 boop. Carnivorous plants from tissue culture at Bergen Water Nurseries. Venus flytraps, pitcher plants, sundews. So it looks like they have all kinds of stuff you can get here. Though they may not have these in tissue culture. It's easier to do tissue culture when somebody else has already done the work to clean it up. I mean, you can wash it and clone it, but yeah. I miss doing predatory plants. They're super fun. But what's funny is everything that we do is so nutritious from the mushrooms that it makes it hard to do predatory plants because they need really non-nutritious substrate. I mean, culture, equipment, etc. And yes, the industry. Gotcha. What do you think of the little grow your own mycelium beads floating around on social media? Hy-Vee Labs, I think it is. Um, do you, you mean the future of fungal farming or whatever it is that they keep calling it? I mean, it's a neat idea. I think it looks to me a lot like just the same beading process that they do for algae, the algae beads. I don't think it's really, it's neat and it's cool, but I don't think it's really anything too big or special. Especially since it's just mycelium beads. Like, what do you want the mycelium for? If you're wanting it for extracts, like, number one, I'm not really big on the mycelium for extracts versus over fruiting bodies, but um, even if I was, I mean, I would just, why, you don't need it in bead form. A powder would work just as well, or unless the beads are somehow more enjoyable to eat, I guess. Come up with one good idea and it will show up on Temu in 2 to 3 weeks' time. That is definitely a thing. Samantha and I have talked a lot about that at the resellers. There's just a constant stream of resellers for streams. It's slowed way down since we did a terms and service on our website. That was thankfully Samantha's idea to really push for a biology terms of service so that we can. I mean, we have it for the website stuff too, but then there's a whole segment for just what you can do with our cultures and what you can't do, kind of thing, and that slowed down the resellers big time. Well, it's even crazier because you'll have we had somebody hey, I just bought all these strains. Can I resell them? We were like, well, we'd prefer you not to, but we can't stop you. This was before we started the terms. And then she was like, cool, can I use all your photos of your website? No. I can't remember what else she asked. She kept asking a bunch of stuff. She's like, fine, I'll just do it, and I'll do it better than you. And we were like, good. You should. Go do that. Oh. Yeah, Samantha said it's not even that we mind sharing the strains. And she said it's that we end up with other people's customer service. Yeah, and then everybody thinks King Blue is crap or whatever, but it's the fact that they're buying it from someone who doesn't treat it well. I agree with that, and it does hurt her reputation. Samantha just said that it makes it look bad. There is that, but I also just I don't mind if somebody takes the strain and changes it. They breed it, they whatever. But just to take a clone of, just to take a syringe and put it in a jar and then sell syringes like that, I don't like that. Does automated breeding / pairing / spore farming tickle your brain? Well, it kind of depends on what you mean by that. Are you talking about removing the human element, or could I have a AI / pipetter that basically takes everything down to would make making monos easier? Yeah, if I had a system that would automate making monos, I would totally do that. I might breed mono a lot more often if that were the case. But I don't know if anybody saw the plates I posted yesterday. I definitely forgot. I was sitting there working with a bunch of stuff, but I was working with UV lights and spores, and I just completely forgot, I guess, one batch to to dilute it. So it's just a plate of just spore water. When I first started out, I was astounded at how long it took to shake bags. Yeah, shaking bags alone is, and it's not. It's just a menial task. People don't enjoy it. What made you jump? What made you make the jump to start a mushroom farm? Reason for the question is my own doubts to start. I can think of 1,000 reasons why not to, and still it's so intriguing I cannot stop. Well, it started in part for me because, again, I wanted to be a mountain man when I was young. I wanted to be a mountain man and a hermit, and go out in the woods and live my life and just produce a lot of what I like. There for a while, I was a stay-at-home dad, and I was just raising ducks, chickens, geese, rabbits. So we produced a lot of our own meat. We had I was raising tomatoes and peppers and vegetables and all that kind of stuff at home. And then mushrooms kind of became a part of that. Like mushrooms were like, oh, it's another food source, right? That I could provide, and it's a high quality food source that I could do at home. So I started doing that, and then people found out that I had some and wanted them, and more and more and more, until Samantha, by the time I was in the factory and found out I was allergic to the walnuts, and they wouldn't let me off the line, Samantha said, "You should just quit. I'm about to have Aislinn, our third kid at the time." She's like, "You're already growing mushrooms from home and selling them and stuff, so why don't you just start going into that full time?" And so it just kind of happened organically. And the big jump was that with a third kid in daycare, Samantha and I, we were going to have one person working just to have a kid in daycare. So it became easier to have a person at home. And Samantha wasn't allergic to walnuts like I was. So she could work there at the cake factory without dying. So it kind of pushed me into it a little bit. But again, it was more about providing good quality food for my family. As time went on, I started to treat it more and more like a business. And that kind of took some of the romance out of it, I guess. But then the romance came back. Like, that's the big thing I found out about turning a hobby into a business, is that it does take the romance out of it for a while, and then it can kill it for you. Or if you can make it and figure it out, then the romance can absolutely come back. Yeah, instead of outdoor lights outside, a whole lot of glowing mushrooms. That's what I'm thinking, just mushroom bioreactors. Just bubble away. Had a bunch of plants until my operation got blown away. I missed them. Oh, yeah, I wanted to get some of those glowing petunias. And I was like, well, it's illegal to plant tissue culture them, but, could I clone them and just have them here for me? I wouldn't sell them. And I wanted to know if it was a germ cell mutation or a germ cell gene. So if you bred it with another petunia, I'm sure that they have things telling you not to do it, so I'm sure it would be illegal. But would it be one of those things that it could breed to other petunias and would leave it, or is it a non-germ cell line augment? So I've noticed more and more people on Discord talk more about carnivorous plants with fly season being here. You talk about on the mushroom stuff. I tried them in the grow room and they never worked for me. The most effective thing for me is just keeping the grow room clean and getting blocks out regularly. Josiah up in Knoxville has moved to I think bags go in 1 week, and then bags go in on the other side of the grow room the next week, and then the bags get taken out. So they're only a one flush and done kind of system. So I was on a 4-week cycle, but you can do a lot more mushrooms if you go down to a one flush cycle like that. And that will keep flies down because they won't have time to. That's so obnoxious. I'm not sure. Oh, probably the resellers. So any way to copyright your strain names and then protect your name? Yeah, I mean, you can protect the name for sure, but then they'll just take the same strain and they resell it as a different name. The best thing to do is to have your strain sequenced, and then you can buy it off somebody or have your lawyer buy it off somebody, and then you can bring it in and sequence it and see if they broke your terms of service when they bought your strain. So it's not 100% effective, but it is way more effective. But it is more expensive. So every strain I release, you have to have some sequencing done. Can't wait to share a project with you when I get up there. You gave the exact answer I was looking for. Excellent. I don't even remember what that answer was, but I'll know when you get up here. Iceman. Hey, Andrew, would you be interested in a wild? Yes, absolutely. I don't even know what it is. Wild folio Namiko. If I'm growing the side of a maple tree in Ohio, 100% absolutely interested. If you need help, I've got a page on called the mycologium on my website. So mossykreekmushrooms.com/ is it the mycologium or mycologium? It's on the tabs if you go to my website, but it's got instructions for everything. But the gist of it is, if you've got there's the mushroom shipping to me is a little bit harder, but if you've already got the strain, you could absolutely just ship me a plate of it. How do people separate plastic from substrate after fruiting different manually? Must be some DIY automation possible. I've not seen the closest thing I've seen was a manure spreader. I think Eric Myers had it where he could throw a bag in. It would spin, and it would like obliterate the block, and then it would just shoot the plastic bag out the side. But I'm not sure if he had modified that in some way, and I'm not sure. Like I've only ever seen him do it like one time. I don't know if he still does it. Most people just cut the bag and whoop, drop it. I personally just have people come pick up blocks here. If you see, I haven't posted them lately because I've been trying to keep my garden stuff off of Mossy Creek Mushrooms and on my new garden account that I'm doing. So that I don't basically get my mushroom people going, oh, I don't want to look at Mossy Creek Mushrooms because it's not mushrooms. But I have tubs and stuff, like 300-gallon tubs, 150-gallon tubs that are just full of mushroom spent blocks and logs and stuff. And then I plant plants in them. And my whole front of my place here just looks crazy with plants. So, but as far as automation goes, I've not seen any good automated things for getting rid of blocks. I wanted to do the same when I was younger. Jeremiah Johnson was, yes, Jeremiah. Yep, that was my favorite. Johnson headed off into the mountains, looking or planning on forgetting all the troubles that he knew. Eagle and the sparrow. Yeah, man, that's who I wanted to be. Now I'm getting, I'll be 40 soon, very, very soon. And my inflammation issues, I'm basically just going, okay, my grandfather was an outdoorsman, but he always camped in an RV or something like that. And I'm like, it's probably going to be me. My mountain backpacking days are probably behind me. My 4 to 8 days in the wilderness at a time. Finally made it. Glad to see you guys still going. Heck yeah, Falcor, welcome. Yeah, man, you got me for another few minutes. No need for carnivorous plants in the grow room. Just put in some lizards. Well, I wondered if spores would hurt the lizards because I know, where they're cold-blooded, fungus can hurt. Can hurt lizards more than it does, us. Hello, everyone, and Andrew from Badger County. Hello, everyone, and Andrew. Well, hello, Chris from Badger County Canyon Mushroom Company in Kennewick, Washington. Kennewick. And hello. Have you ever looked into the Oxford nanopore min ion for true mapping, genetic diversity, hybridization, confirmation, etc.? The flow cells can be pricey, but for a breeder of your caliber, game changer. You're going to see, man, I don't know what you think a breeder of my caliber is. When you get up here, I'm going to show you my breeding method. That is my most productive breeding method, and it is the most brain dead, stupid, simple way to breed mushrooms. Like, I'm always like people like I know it's because I've got a body of work, and I know people think that it's like I'm this mad scientist, and I guess I kind of am, but I'm a systems guy, I'm not like a crazy amazing breeder. Like you go watch Ed Grand, and you'll see a talented breeder. I am someone who knows how to systematize things, and I've systematized breeding. It is not. I am not the most talented breeder I know. I can think of a handful of names of people who are probably more talented in the technical aspects of breeding than I am. So, but I have not. Sorry, I got hung up on that last part. No, I have not seen this, but I'm going to look it up now that you have mentioned it, and I will definitely take a look at it. Geez, I wish I had a set schedule for these little meet and greets. I'm sorry, Chris, but it ain't going to be a set schedule for a while. I'm going to do them, I think next week. I'd already told Ian the bastard earlier that I'm going to try to do one at 10 a.m. Thursday of next week. So that one, there you go. You can set your watch or whatever ahead on that one. Do you have a personal daily extract regimen? I mean, I have a daily mushroom consumption, and I do have extracts that I take daily. I actually take a lot of extracts, not just mushroom, but like I take a beet supplement for my blood pressure. That has been the biggest thing. I take a beet supplement every day in my morning shake, and if I don't take it, I can feel it. That has probably been the most acute response I can, like, food thing that I could take for blood pressure. But I take cordyceps almost daily. It's not daily, but it's almost daily. Um, I have I take a golden enoki extract every day, and I take a lion's mane extract every day. But I don't take the oyster reishi. I take reishi when I'm sick. I actually wonder if I ought to take it more often because it's supposed to be good for inflammation. I do take a turmeric chew. I take magnesium for inflammation. Uh, so I don't know. I take I got some like a whole thing with vitamins and things I take to help with inflammation and ADHD and all that kind of stuff. I prefer, instead of medicating. So, and I mean, I usually put like cordyceps in my mate. I don't have it in there today. You would normally see these little orange-looking worms in there, but I didn't. I didn't take them today. Today's a low-key day. Thursdays are my day off from most everything. It's one of my off days that I've built into the week. So just because I know I'm going to have a live stream later on the day. So I do lab work and some other light duty stuff, but I don't go crazy for most things. And so those don't need to take cordyceps. Did you ever reach out to Mushroom Wonderland, Andrew Hiller? I have not reached out to anybody right now. He's on my list, but I haven't even set up a schedule for doing guests or anything like that. But I definitely plan on reaching out to him. In part, having looked at his channel now and really, really kind of looked at and watched a few of his videos, I want to talk to him about the mycologium because I think that he can make a huge difference in the mycologium just by himself. But even if it's not just him, like we might be able to see, I might want to have a bigger conversation with him about getting him and I to try to work the mycologium, like see if I can get some of his audience, the mushroom hunters, to start donating. But I have to be careful because I'm already overwhelmed. So, and like I said earlier, Samantha and I've got a new workflow that we did today that I think is going to completely change my lab game. Just Samantha and I being able to work together and put the hoods up side by side made such a huge difference that we were calculating it out. If we run like we did yesterday, twice a week, I'll be completely caught up from even last year's samples. I'll be caught up to like, I don't know, in a month. But the point, Chris, is that I definitely want, he's definitely on my list. I'm not ignoring anybody yet. I'm just still trying to get all the pieces of my life together. I'd love to be a mycologium affiliate and clean up strains for people that can't clean them up so we can still get them into your library. That'd be cool. We should talk about that while you're up here. That might be something we could work on. I want to expand the mycologium bit by bit. The strain tester network's already been a part of that, though that's technically under Mossy Creek Mushrooms, but because I've been doing the bread strains too, and I couldn't figure out how to really separate mycologium and Mossy Creek, but that's okay. They don't have to be separated entirely just yet. Jeremiah Johnson ruled. Yeah, he did, man. I guess it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It was, man, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. That was been a good one. I've been feeling the want/need to watch Longmire again. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It is not Jeremiah Johnson, I know, but it scratches a similar itch. So it's a crime drama, and you get a lot of that mountain man stuff in there, and you get all kinds of cool stuff. You can cross if you want. Huh? Yeah. I was gonna say, if you don't mind being on camera, I don't mind you being on. Okay. I like brain dead simple ways. Me too. But see, so this is something that I've. It's one of my favorite things. The wooden Thor. I loved the wooden Thor. It is still my favorite. I will never not love it. I miss the wooden Thor. The plastic, metal, fiberglass, they look way better than I thought they were going to. But I just liked. I was just like the good old American hardwood Thor, and which makes it harder because you can't ship it to Australia because it's wood, right? So there's challenges with it. I get why it's changed. But it's amazing to me how sometimes the most simple things, the simple solutions are the correct solutions. Um, and people will poo poo this big time. One of my favorite things I've watched recently is the episode on the mosquito airplane by the fat electrician. Oh, love that episode. But it's amazing because this guy came up with a wonderful solution, and everyone else tried to screw him and talk bad about him because it was basically a simple, elegant solution that could be implemented with very little cost. And people hated it because it didn't look legitimate, because it wasn't metal. And I'm just like, I really. I was like, why tell me? No, why tell me? Sorry, I saw Chris just said, why you tell me that when I bought the polycarbonate Thor? No, the polycarbonate's great. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I want to make that clear. The Thor they're selling now, I have a copy of, and I use it twice a week, and it's amazing. I just the aesthetic I've got is wood. I just like that aesthetic. Um, but that whole episode. There's another one too on I think is it Hobart's Funnies, which are a bunch of tanks that were just like, oh, we got a problem. How do we do this with a tank? And then they're like, oh, well, we're just going to do this brain dead simple thing to fix it, and it works great. And then people are like, haha, that looks silly. You should be ashamed of yourself. And he's like, why? This is amazing. So it just, I don't know, man. It I love the brain dead simple ways. Rome built a huge civilization that spanned a wide area on simple engineering, right? But any news on Samantha's book? I'm going to have to tell her that people are asking again and again. No further news than last week. She's still working on it. But right now she's in a cleaning tizzy because the fire department came through. And she's like, I can't believe they saw this mess. So she is fixing it. What is golden enoki good for? As far as the extracts, so it is. There's actually a lot to it. It is surprisingly well researched. It has. Oh my gosh, you had to ask me. Is it its polysaccharide count that's so high? Like that stuff, when you do the extract, it'll become almost gelatinous. It pulls out. Gosh, that big weekends. I can't remember now. Anyways, the point is that there's like ergothioneine in it, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory. Golden enoki is actually really good for your heart health. So it's really a good wide spectrum, I feel like, medicinal mushroom. The heart health side of it is really what I take it for. What is golden enoki for? Now, I would say part of the ergothioneine is from the golden color, because golden oysters are the highest containing ergothioneine. But so they have various health benefits beyond their nutritional value, including immune system boosting, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and possible support for heart health. So I guess I should be careful making claims since I sell the stuff. I don't want to make claims. But that's what Google says, which was also, was it NCIB or something like that. Ed! What's up, Ed? I just woke up for the bathroom and saw you on live. Thank you for the huge compliment regarding breeding. You're very welcome. I didn't know you were on for that. I'm working with pan monokaryons now. Should be some good things to come. Sounds excellent, man. We should talk sometime, because I'd love to talk to you about the monos versus the crosses, or the multi-spore injections and things like that. I'd like to pick your brain on breeding strategies at some point. Actually, Aaron Hilliard. Yeah, my bad. I just kind of went with it. I didn't really think about it. I don't know names very well. Can I go wrong with the quality of a HEPA filter? Could you name a good place to get one, please? Call Man of War. They're about to start releasing their wooden versions, but they also have 3D printed like small versions. I think they're working on a couple other models for stuff, but it depends on what size you want and how soon you need it. But I know the Man of War crew is working on them and getting the big versions out. And if it's not like immediate, your need isn't immediate, there will be some interesting add-ons that are being played with. So Man of War will be a good one. Let's just say you need one fast and Man of War can't get it to you. That's who I would suggest is Man of War, which is actually Lab Rats, I guess. So I'm not sure who they want you to call. If they'd want you to call Lab Rats or Man of War, and I don't know if Seth is on here to say in the chat. And you can always contact me via email, and I can get you Ben's contact information, or Seth's, depending on who you need to talk to. But let's just say you need one right now. You got to go order one, and we can't wait to find out. You can't go wrong with Fungi Perfecti's setups. That's where I got my first one. I got it in 2013. It is still running on the same HEPA filter. I have pre-filtered it the whole time, but it still produces amazingly clean work. It has taken a beating. It has been through less than careful employees. It has been through people coming in and messing it up when moving it and all kinds of stuff. So, and I've continued to patch that thing, and it has worked great. You have places like Flow Cube, but I don't think he does the big ones anymore. Could be wrong. You could check him out. Air Science. I know it makes the cabinet style if you're looking for the cabinet style. If I suggest in mushrooms that people work with the horizontal flow, not the vertical flow. So the cabinets are not my favorite for production. So it just kind of depends on your need as well. But there's a few suggestions. Walt is awesome. Who is Walt? Switching from lion's mane to reishi for me was a game changer for my productivity. Only take it a few days a week, more so when the stress gets high. But the camping did me better than stimulation. Well, okay, so you got off lion's mane and went to reishi. That's actually what I've been thinking about doing, is starting to just take a reishi supplement or extract. In fact, I'm thinking about starting to grow a lot more reishi here. I have considered. I know there are people already growing reishi, but I could become the reishi king if I wanted. Not only do I have the strains for it at this point, but I have the technique and the grow room and all that kind of stuff down. So, we shall see. I probably won't do it because it would require me to specialize, and I hate specialization. Plus, reishi blocks are harder to use at the end stage, and I like my gardens. Love Mountain Man history. Oh, yeah, dude. Absolutely. I love Mountain Man history in the Old West and everything. So, yeah, I enjoyed Longmire. You've never heard of Jeremiah Johnson? Oh, that movie came out was it the 70s? Jeremiah Johnson was 1972. Robert Redford. Will Gear as Bear Claw. It's directed by Sidney Pollack. It is an amazing movie. Yeah, dude, the polycarbonate Thors work great. So Ben, the thing about the Thors is that Ben really designs every iteration with a huge amount of intent, and they just get better and better and more functional, and it's great. But the wood, it was just my aesthetic is all. Could you name a couple of must-read books before starting a farm, please? Taking pen and paper. Okay, Michael, the first book you're going to want to read is The Lean Farm Has nothing to do with mushroom farming, but if any farmer starting a farm ever should read The Lean Farm. It is one of the life-changing books for farmers. And if you want a mushroom book, I can come up with one. But again, I think that at this point you could probably skip the mushroom books and just go to like YouTube University for the most part, for most of the basic cultivation stuff. The other book that I would probably do is Systems Thinking by Donella. What is her last name? Or is it Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows? She's like basically what you might consider an early permaculturalist kind of person, except she just it's more in systems. That's it. And those two books alone will help you land into any sort of farming situation and just go, I observe, I see, I orient, I decide, and I act. And then I get to do it all over again, which, by the way, guys, is called an OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. It was designed for fighter pilots, but it is a very useful way to train your mind into thinking in quick ways, the OODA loop. There's a great article in the OODA loop. I think it's by Venkatesh Rao on the ribbon farm. So let's go OODA loop, Rao, ribbon farm. Thinking in OODA loops. 12/06/2021. OODA thinking is a skilled activity for prepared live players. So there you go. It was a great thing for me. The Fat Electrician and Unsubscribed podcast are awesome. Oh, I 100% agree. I am down very much. I love Donut Operator. That's one of my guilty pleasures is watching people act out when they're getting arrested on Donut's channel. And then I like the Fat Electrician for story time. I mean, don't get me wrong; they're all pompous and arrogant, but that's exactly that's exactly their shtick. So, and they have reason for it. One sec. Oh, Mossy Creek Mushrooms is live. Well, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I like both of those. Fat Electrician's fun. Oh, I forgot the other guy that looks like Donut. I think they're family. You're an old fashioned dude. Good old fashioned wood. That's exactly right. Well, it's just here's the thing. I'm a biology minded person through and through. I think of the world. I think of machines. I think of farms in ecological terms. That is my lens for the world. So my aesthetic is going to match this. I value amber. Samantha and I have talked about this. In the universe, diamonds diamonds are cool and all. Other precious metals are neato, but there's only like 2 biological gems in the entire universe that we know of. Pearls and amber, right? That makes them potentially the most rare and precious of jewels out there. The moment we start to leave this planet, those jewels are going to be the most precious things possible. Wood itself, wood is going to be such a precious. Wood is such a precious thing in the universe, and I know I've got it all around me right now, but it's just the aesthetic. I like the biology. Can't escape me. Oh, what does that? That was my toe. That was my toe. And my toe is not for eating. Little kitty. Yeah, it straight up attacked me. But Jacob Wolves, I don't want to escape you. In fact, I want to go to Mongolia and be around you some. To be fair, I want to go to Mongolia before I knew you were there. Oh, okay. You can let go of me now. You can let go of me now. Oh my gosh, let go of my beard. Go to mama. Sorry. uh, NASA spent millions inventing a pen that worked in zero gravity. Russia just used the pencil. I mean, there's something to be said about that pen, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I, I agree that the pencil's just the way to go there, but I don't know. Eh, people overcomplicate a lot of stuff. You know that health wise, I need all the help I can get. Oh yeah, I feel you there. Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah, the golden enoki's helped me. I feel like a lot with my inflammation. I get you on record making a claim. I get you on record making a claim. I'm going to sue you now. Oh, fair enough. Uh, Brother Ed, my two favorite mush guys, win next team up. I don't know when. He's on the other side of the world. It makes it hard. I think last time for us, he ended up staying up really late or getting up really late, or that's what it was. Yeah, it was like the middle of his night or something like that. Instead of sleeping and then getting up, I think he just stayed up the whole time. The Matthew War Crew are doing amazing things with a GD printer. The Mana War Crew, gotcha, are doing amazing things. Wait, what? With a 3D printer. Am I wrong? What's the Matthew War Crew? Wait. Yeah, that was weird when they changed the name. I thought they would be Thor stir plates when I bought mine. So I think they are called the Thor stir plate. I think they call it the Thor farm system. I don't like that. I've tried to tell Ben that every product should have its own name. So, for instance, the stir plate should have something to do with if you're going to go with the pantheon and you're going to keep going, then you need one of the water gods, right? If you're going with the stir plate, like it should be I don't know, the Neptune stir system or the Njord, if you want to go keep it in the Thor in the Norse system. Yeah, I don't know. Ed the Man got a Pleurotus pulmonaris Daimon project on my calendar. Well, that's pretty neat. So you're gonna do some protoplast fusion? Is that what we're doing, or is Daimon not necessarily protoplast fusion? Walt from Longmire. I'm sorry, Iceman. You're absolutely right. Yeah, he's one of my favorites ever. I should have known that. Though I liked I liked Ferg, of course. Ferg was super cool. Ferg was so slept on too. Like that's what I loved about him is everybody slept on him because he's this nice little pudgy kid, not realizing that dude's got some gumption to him. And then Walt's best friend, one of the main characters, I'm having a hard time remember his name now. Played by a Filipino actor, whatever. It's awesome as well. RDTN2 is awesome. Excellent, man. We call that the Golden Antler Reishi now. That's the new unofficial name. RDTN2 is still our strain library name. I'm glad that you like it. It is one of my absolute favorites. And I've got other strains now that we're trialing out that are doing just as good. In fact, I'm trying to get them all to grain right now before the summer's over. The Man of War Crew doing amazing things. God bless Ben for bringing us such great tools at such an affordable cost. No kidding. Yeah, they do a really good job over there. Amazing GD Menace with a 3D printer. Man, you guys haven't even seen the half of it yet. It is, it's well, I never know what he's so careful about what he wants me to talk about, and I get it. So I have to be more cautious than I normally would. Oh my gosh, my feet are under attack again. This time. Ugh. This time it's the ginger kitty. This one's my favorite. We're buddies. Yeah, you get that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, now I'm attacked under by the other kitty. Why are you guys so attacking me? Okay, hold on. I'm putting you back down with your mommy. Why don't you go back over there? How common is hidden contamination, and how do you figure it out if it's not obvious, like yellow, orange, white bacteria, or mold? I've heard people talk about a sheen around mycelium on art agar. So you cannot follow the sheen. The sheen is not a so there. I know what they're talking about, and you can see that. What they mean by sheen is like if it's yeasty, it'll often look really greasy because yeast has a high lipid or fat content, so it's got a greasy kind of look to it. But mycelium, as it grows, will actually produce what's my toes? This is like torture. I'm hoping if I just lay still, they'll get bored. Ow, that is not getting bored. Ow. I'm gonna have to do something about this. Okay. Hey, Teddy. Teddy, come here. Why don't you play with the little kitties? You see the kitty? There you go. Distract the kitties for me. Good doggy. So, mycelium, as it grows, the hyphae grow out. They produce metabolites, and not just the metabolites, but as the mycelium enters into the agar, it can refract the light, and it creates the sheen. Like the light will literally shine around the mycelium. Teddy, you're doing a terrible job. And the sheen is not a good indicator of contamination. One of the best things to do is if you could have a microscope, you can actually scrape some mycelium, put it on a slide. You can then fix it. But I know microscopy is a skill set all on its own. Like not even a lot of microbiologists have basic understanding of microscopes, but you have whole jobs that are microscopists, right? Like people that prepare slides, interpret slides, and look through microscopes. So you can't follow the sheen. There is hidden contamination. A lot of times you can see it a lot easier if you just lift your dish up and you hold a light and you look at the dish with light passing through it. You'll be able to see little round colonies. I sometimes use food coloring in my agar, and white rot funguses will eat, and that food coloring will dissolve. And if there's bacteria between the mycelium and the food coloring, then that dissolves at a slower rate than the surrounding area that's clean. So sometimes I can highlight an area for you and help you figure that out. A lot of times though, you just gotta have to test things. And familiarity will be the biggest thing. Is that you'll see this mycelium. I've grown familiar with it. It's going to grow this way. Why is that dish not growing that way? That looks weird. Your nose also will know. So let's say there's liquid culture is bad. You can squirt that in a dish. That is actually part of our regular QC, our quality control, is that before we pull a bioreactor, we will suck it up and then we'll squirt some in a dish and we will smell it. If it smells like a dirty diaper, it's usually bacteria. If it smells like a bakery, brewery, it's usually yeast. If it smells like bleach and it's a Hericium strain, Hericium actually produces it'll smell like a peroxidase, a bleachy smell. That's common for Hericium. That's actually not a bad thing, which is weird. The older the Hericium mycelium too, the more it'll smell like bleach, except for certain strains. Certain strains just are very bleachy smelling. That's because it's literally like free radicals it's producing to loosen molecular bonds. So there's not like any one good way to tell without a microscope, and you're going to need to learn. You're going to need to learn how to stain it, mount it, affix it, stain it, and because to see bacteria, you're going to have a contrast material. So the only other way really would be to test it. So what I always do with dishes, like if I suspect something, I'll do a couple of dishes, drop a wedge in grain, etc. Like you basically just do a variety of methods to observe it. Um, but like again, like if you see a greasy spot, your wedge that you just transferred just gets grease all over it, and little stringy patches maybe grow out of it. That's usually a clear sign. But as far as like hidden contamination, it absolutely exists. There are bacteria that will hitchhike alongside your mycelium and won't bother your mycelium at all. They'll just live fine together. But you don't want that in a liquid culture, because then that bacteria can take off faster. And while they'll live together and they won't hurt each other, that doesn't mean that one of them's not eating up the food for the other. So, oh gosh, I've gotten behind. Is that a HEPA filter on the top of the shelf? Up here, that's not HEPA filter. That is the air intake to my lab. And we just replaced that filter. Actually, that right there, filter material, is supposed to go there and replace that. This is from my filter service guy. He comes in and he replaces all my pre-filters. He comes in and he'll just change them out monthly. I think it's like $20 a month, and he changes out my 4 filters. And then I don't ever have to worry about it. So, Jim Bridger was the man. I was at university with no money or TV. Do you have I was at university with no money or TV. Do you have reishi sessile? I want to naturalize it outside. I think I have a couple of sessile strains. I'll have to check. I have focused on lucidum, and actually, no, I do have a sessile strain for sure. But Kurtzai is one of my favorites. On time, every time. Stoked for the new reads. Thanks. My local libraries are lacking. Most local libraries are lacking these days. When I bought mine, it was Lab Rats, not Man of War or Thor. Yeah, it's so. I think they're still technically Lab Rats. I know they bought the company, but I don't know if they've done any name changing, or if Man of War's taking it all over, or if Man of War's just doing the fulfillment, or what. I mean, he's worked really closely with the previous owners. Strains would you recommend to start a farm? That's going to depend very much on what you're wanting to do. But I'm just going to assume that you're talking gourmet. So we'll start right there. 3 basic strains. You're going to want a lion's mane. If you're going to do extracts and gourmet, I suggest tribbles for your lion's mane, because it can do both functions and it does both of them well. It is a larger toothier strain. So if you don't like the toothier strain, replace your lion's mane with the elderwood lion's mane. For the 2 oysters, I would do something like a blue and a white. So BS26 is one of my favorites. It's a little slower, but it's a prettier oyster throughout most of the year, and it's a really good quality eating mushroom. A little sweeter, I think, on the sweeter side than a lot of others. And then for my white oyster, I'd probably do Mother of Pearl, which actually starts off blue, but fades to a white by the time it's ready. Though a lot of people actually pick it before it loses all the blue. So if you wanted another white strain, Yeti's Breath would probably be the best white strain that I have. Either that or Pearly White. And I don't know that we have Pearly White on the website right now. That's the 3 basics I would choose. And then you can get further and further into diversification as you go. Pink oysters are actually one of my favorites, but their commercial viability is a little harder with the low shelf life. Lion's mane brought my mother into remission for her RA. Really? She has helped with her recovery into health again. I was a cannabis lab tech for years to heal, and I see more true healing from mushrooms. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think cannabis can be powerful medicine. It's a great sleep aid. It's great for hunger. People who have suppressed hunger. I really think my Gigi could have used it, though she would have adamantly been against it. But I've seen my uncle got a brain tumor, and actually it was really interesting, because every man in his unit got the same kind of cancer. Every man in his unit that was in Desert Storm, so some doctor ended up treating every man in his unit out of his own pocket. But he used cannabis pretty hardcore through, before the tumor really took his personhood. And my dad, who is against cannabis, was just like, for that, I completely understood. He's like, he was just in so much pain. But that said, I do feel like mushrooms. I mean, for one thing, when you're talking about cannabis, let's put it in perspective. Cannabis is a single, or let's say maybe it's a species complex. Mushrooms aren't a species complex. Mushrooms are an entire kingdom, so it's not fair to compare the two. That would be like comparing cannabis to lion's mane or cannabis to reishi, right? You can only if you can only do it to one. So of course it's going to have more medicinal because it's a bigger kingdom, but because the plant kingdom offers us just as much medicinally as the fungal does. The fungal is just undiscovered for the most part. See, dozens of people in my local community with MS benefit tremendously from lion's mane proof it regrows that myelin. Well, anecdotal evidence instead of proof. But I 100% agree with you that it seems to have very potent, very, very potent effects against MS. That has been the anecdotal evidence I have seen as well. Speaking of amber, the amber room recreation was sick. The mystery of the first is also interesting. I don't know what these are. I'm about to check this out. I don't know. For all I know, she probably put that catnip spray or something on there. No, the cats and I normally just have a live and let live kind of thing going on. So these two kittens, I've been spending a little bit of time every day holding them, playing with them, because I was like, for once, I want cats to like me, right? And I'm a likable guy, so I was like, I'm just gonna put time into the cats and see if I can get them to like me. And so far, they definitely want to play with me. Northwest mushrooms, ooh, like the Yeti or the Sasquatch. Hey, Andrew, I'm fruiting your golden enoki strain right now, and the caps all turned up around dime sized. That's pretty good sized. 62 degrees, 95% humidity. CO2, any ideas why? Well, is that too big for you or too little? Because to me, that sounds like a pretty decent size. Are you wanting them larger? Because enoki is typically grown to be smaller. If you're wanting, so if you want them bigger, it's better to reduce the hole size that they grow out of, and then really get your 62 degrees is actually pretty cool though. But I mean, like if you can get it down in the 50s, you'll get bigger mushrooms. I have found a lot of times. But I prefer to try to grow them with the collar so that I get dime sized or maybe even a little smaller, and just get a ton of like noodles. We like the noodles, the stems on it. Let me know what you're going for there, Northwest. You tried mycophile? Let's see. The one I had been playing with is I wonder if I deleted it. Must have deleted it. I was playing with one of them. I was thinking that it was mycophile, but I don't know. No, it was mycotrace I was playing with. I have not tried mycophile yet. I've heard that 2 or 3 times though. Why aren't you at Telluride? I've never been invited to Telluride. I don't know. I don't think anybody at Telluride knows who I am. You should be speaking. I don't know about that. I don't know what kind of people they have at Telluride most of the time, but from my understanding, it's the heavy hitters. And while I'm, known in parts of the community, I would not say that I am like a heavy hitter. It's always present, waiting for the stress mycelium to take over as 2 monokaryotics to mate. What's always present? The daimon that we were talking about earlier? Tips for telling the difference between Hericium coralloides and Americanum. Let's get to the mushroom mesa, bear's head, and Americanum. I cannot find a good way to tell. So, there's not a good way. There's just not. DNA barcoding is the only way. It is from my understanding right now, having talked to like Alan Rockefeller, reading the studies and looking at some other stuff, the taxonomic situation with hericiums is about a downright nightmare. So we have no idea what we're looking at right now. But it seems to be very different than what we were expecting. There are either well, let's see. The way I asked Alan, I think it was that it seems to me like there's two different directions we can go here. One, we have a species, it's going to be a much wider species. So like, what you got to realize is that like people have been picking coralloides, and then they go, oh, it looks like coralloides. But now we're finding that there are like many of these coralloides are actually lion's mane, and many of the things that we thought were lion's mane are actually Americanum or coralloides or whatever. So we may have picked something, gone through all the taxonomic information, barcoded it, and then went, that's the difference right there. That's the protocol. And we did that for Americanum and for this. And then now as we're getting into it, we're like, oh shit, either it is a bigger species complex than we thought it was. So there's either a lot more species and they more readily interbreed than we thought they would, or it is a singular species with a lot of subvariants, and the subvariants that we were mistaking as species. And so, and who knows, there might even be more than that, but it definitely seems like there's just not a good way right now, unfortunately. Because hericium is so largely affected by its environment. I mean, you can get a lion's mane and grow it in high CO2, and it'll look like a coralloides a lot of times. Why I probably never heard of Jeremiah Johnson in the 70s. Oh, Jeremiah Johnson. Wait. You were there, Rose. You were there in the 70s. Would you say Velvet Foot from Jeff is more heat tolerant than Appalachian Enoki? Not from what I have found. Before Appalachian Enoki, I would say Velvet Foot was the most heat tolerant that I had found. The Appalachian Enoki seems to me to be about as heat tolerant, if not more, but I haven't done a side-by-side trial. I'm about to wake Velvet Foot up out of cold storage and give it a go and see what happens. Did you see the Nature Journal about special mushrooms increasing mouse lifespan, growing hair, etc.? Already got a 60-year-old asking me for doses. I actually did see that, yeah, and it was interesting to me. I want to know why. My guess is that in large part, your neurological health is the part of the basis for health, right? Because your signals going everywhere are what affect on-off switches and etc. So I don't know. It's definitely a subject I'm very, very interested in. Mycophile's legit. I keep hearing that over and over again. I'm going to have to give it a try. Silo treatment extends cellular lifespan and improves survival of aged mice, published in Nature by Kosuke Kato. I wonder, did they do any in vitro cells? Like, could you do silo treatments to just in vitro cells and see, like, hey, these are not like neurological cells, right? These are not part of the nervous system. So these are just muscle cells, and silo actually increased the lifespan of that. Like, that would be an interesting thing. I'd be interested in some in vitro studies on that as well. Amber Room was a gift from Prussia to Russia, but the Nazis stole it and it went missing. Original has never been found. Oh, interesting. Amber Room. Wow. Okay. That is gorgeous. Well, how do we have pictures of it? Or is this just a recreation? Russia's 8th wonder of the world. Well, there's people in it. So is this, they made a replica of it, maybe? It was last seen January 12, 1945, when Dr. Rode wrote that the amber panels were being crated. I wonder if it's on one of them submarines, or if it's down like in Argentina or something somewhere. In which case, possible to breed coralloides, Americanum, and Arenaceus. So my understanding is, yeah, that they interbreed pretty regularly. maybe not every time, but that'd be neat. I've bred an Erinaceus to what was labeled as an Americanum. Now I don't have proof because I did not DNA barcode them both before I bred them. But yeah, man, the heat tolerant golden enoki and prime fungi is nuts. Afshin's had some of the most insane GE flushes I've ever seen. Prime fungi. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, what strain is that? Where did he get that strain? Is that one of the wild ones? Do we know? I remember because I went to the website again and it just says coming soon or something like that. I'm not familiar with prime fungi. Before that, have you read Gordon Walker's new book? No, I'm supposed to be getting into copy soon, but I want to read it. They used in vitro cells and whole mice. Okay, interesting. That makes it more interesting for me. Not that I wasn't already interested, but I thought they were going to be larger caps. They were huge flushes. I'm just late on harvesting because I thought they would end up being around 1 inch diameter before maturity. Oh, okay. Yeah, the best way to do would be to restrict how many can grow to adulthood, to maturity, adulthood to maturity. If you can reduce that, you'll get bigger mushrooms. So if you can reduce the number of mushrooms, you get larger ones. Dr. Fungi's lame reference, by the way. Passport to Kingdom Fungi. What do you mean lame reference? Dr. Fungus. What would the reference be? Oh, no. That's Dr. Feelgood. I'm missing something. Prime Fungi probably got it from Jeff. I don't know Prime Fungi, so I don't know that necessarily. I like the little ones. I just thought I messed up something up. No, man. No, you didn't. You can get bigger ones for sure, and they are nice. But the little spaghetti is the part that I think's the better chopped up and eaten. A bear's head really ain't Americanum. I think. I do think lion's beard might be an Americanum, though. You know, I've wondered. There's all kinds of stuff. Starting off bear's head again. Awesome strain. Yeah, dude. Bear's head's. I wish that was one of mine because that bear's head is a fantastic strain. I need to grow it again too. Experimenting diamond pairings with hericiums could be promising. Afshin grows a ton of prime fungi gear. I have definitely considered it after seeing so this flushes at high summer temps. Well, what's his temps in his grow room? I mean, is his grow room hot? And I did see Afshin's post. Excuse me. I don't really know Afshin well. Probably passing a couple of times. But I've never seen prime fungi. Like again, I just saw where they're like got stuff coming soon. I don't know if they normally sell stuff or what, and it's just not on the website right now, or what. I can't really comment on them. I don't know much about them. Where is my stuff? My media assets. I was thinking I might play another sponsorship and go pee, but then again, I was looking at it's 2 hours and 43 minutes in, so I might just give it another minute and then go ahead and head off instead of making you guys watch another sponsorship. Shoot, I probably should stop drinking caffeine. It's 7:44. Even what's left in that mate will keep me up all night long. Fun guy versus I see what you're saying. Yeah, but he's making a book for the broader audience. You know, not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure he thinks mushroom people will buy it, but I think he's the passport to Kingdom Fungi. We all already have a passport, right? He's trying to get more and more people interested in it. So I get it. He's making the lame joke. It's like when you go to farmers markets and you get the same like 10 jokes, the same 10 questions, jokes, whatever, over and over and over and over again. And it's because, people are trying to relate to you and they don't know anything about mushrooms. So that's kind of what I feel like he's doing, is that he's going, hey, you don't know anything about mushrooms. Let me bring you in and give you a passport to the kingdom. Let me be your guide and show you around, kind of thing. So probably not a book made for us, I've been in it for a little bit, but still a good book to have out in the world. Eric Huntington is prime, if I remember correctly. Yeah, his room has been hotter, 68 to 70 from what I've been reading. I need those high temp strains down here in Texas. Yeah, man. I mean, that's actually what I've been working on, is high temp stuff myself. So I'm definitely be interested in any enoki he's got that's producing that well. That Appalachian enoki for me will produce up to about 70, but they definitely get smaller and a little heat stressed at that point. But yeah, my plan is to try to breed the velvet foot and the now that I've got the gold and the white to breed together, the Appalachian enoki and the commercial white enoki, and I got them to breed successfully together, and I got to see that you could absolutely get color shifts through it. Now I want to breed the velvet foot and the Appalachian enoki together, and then basically what I would like to do is just select for heat tolerance. So, well, I ain't funny either, man. But you're funnier than I am. Play the sponsorship. Play the sponsorship. We'll play the sponsorship. That'll work. We'll play the sponsorship. I did Dr. Solarians earlier. Hey folks, welcome to another sponsorship for the Mushroom Cast. We're always talking about dialing in your grow setup, and when it comes to humidity, there's one name we trust: House of Hydro. These foggers are an absolute game changer for mushroom cultivation. House of Hydro's ultrasonic humidifiers put out an incredibly fine, cool mist. So fine, in fact, that mycelium can actually uptake it straight from the air. That means better hydration, better growth, happier mushrooms, and better yields. And let me tell you, these things are way easier to vent around your op than setting up full-on plumbing pressure systems. No pipes, no hassle, just perfect humidity right where you need it. And when you're working with the best, you want the best support. John at House of Hydro takes care of his customers better than anyone in the game. If you ever need help, they've got you covered. And because House of Hydro is sponsoring the Mushroom Cast, we've got a deal for you. Use code Mossy at checkout, and you'll get a full set worth of free replacement discs with your order. It's up to a $50 value. Get yourself a House of Hydro fogger. Your mushrooms will thank you. Keep spawning culture, y'all. He got hit in the face. Dr. Solarian's giveaway during live streams. But we're soon. Hey, man, please do. People are being really happy with it. I am so ecstatic. I worked really hard on that recipe, and people have just been sending in the results. So I'm really, really ecstatic that people have been happy with that product. I've been steadily selling more and more and more and more and more of it. So actually, it's looking like that might end up being my flagship product. My genetics are great, but everybody's genetics will grow better on Dr. Solarians. So, man, I spent all my free time for this year fanboying today, huh? For this year? Well, you don't get a lot of free time. We're going to get you where you do. And don't fanboy too hard. Speaking of humidifiers, I have a prototype in the fab shop right now. Ooh. Well, then I want to hear about that at some point. You stunt don't know it, baby. I do all my own stunts. Samantha, no, Samantha's not the one that threw those at me. Samantha was filming. Was it Brody that threw those at me? Those hit me in the face with all the little discs. Yeah. Yeah, he felt so guilty. I was like, hit me in the face, Brody. I just had to psych him up, and he's like, I don't want to. +1 HOH. My disc lasts 2 years, which is a hurt when I hear, but damn, I was stoked. You can definitely get them. HOH rules. They absolutely do. Again, use code Mossy. But yeah, man, HOH. Those guys rock. People will get those cheap Chinese ones off Amazon and stuff, and they will last sometimes. But for the most part, I've never had them last. Like the HOH units. I've got a 12 disc head that's like 3 years old, still ticking. So yeah, man, those guys are great. They import some good stuff. Not saying that I think even their stuff comes from China, but it's the fact that it goes through a quality control process. I guess I don't know. Amazon people are probably selling all the scavenge units or something like that. Well, all right. Shoot, guys, it's 7:50. It's time for me to start kind of going in. I might go hang out in the garden for the last little bit of daylight and go get some pictures of some praying mantises or something. I've been finding praying mantises and damselflies and dragonflies. We do this our wetland gardens out here now. In fact, I'm starting to hold another channel on it. One day I may even say, I think I said it last week. I just use tap water in mine, in my humidifier. I use tap water for most things. I use RO water. I drink. I use RO water to make my coffee and mate, things like that. But I use tap water for my mushrooms, for my plants, and for all of my infrastructure. I just descale stuff is all. But yeah, we do all these wetland gardens out there. My peppers are going crazy. I've made these like what I call modified chinampas, which is like a wetland agricultural system from Mexico. And so I do these systems for the peppers, and my tomatoes have done crap. I've never been a good tomato grower. I'm lucky to grow a few plants just to get some tomatoes, but the peppers have gone insane. It's been working on a humidifier. Not right now. No, because there's so many good solutions to humidifiers already. There's not really a need for that. I think that he's working on mainly like labor saving and energy saving stuff right now. And then he worked on the stir plate at my request because I was so sick and tired of crappy stir plates. You either get a super expensive crappy stir plates or you get the super cheap crappy stir plates, and they burned out every 6 months. So I just got sick of it. And then he built these Man of War stir plates, the Thor stir plates, and oh my gosh, man, these things. I had a 2-inch pellicle, the floating mat, on one of my jars, and I just set it on there and turned it on, left it overnight, came back. And what's cool about these Thor stir plates is a lot of times if they do throw the magnet, it picks it back up and just keeps spinning it again. So like you can just leave it there, and the pellicle may knock it off, and it'll just grab it again. And it's just, I mean, it chewed through that pellicle to such a fine degree that I was able to pull that LC. It was the thickest LC I'd ever seen, but I was able to just pull that thing, pellicle and all, up into syringes. So your mileage may vary depending on, like reishi's a little tougher than oysters, and Hericium's a little tuftier. But yeah, I mean, those things rip. Absolutely. You're very welcome for showing up. I will do this again next week. Again, next week I'm planning on trying to do it about 10 a.m. So we'll see. It'll be 10 or 11. But I'm going to try to do it early for my European folks. Just got FNFGF24. Jacob, I don't know what that is. FNFGF24. But she interrupted my leaving by stroking my curiosity. GF24. Friday Night Funkin'. Fun is Infinite. Girlfriend in FNF Wiki. What are you having me look up? Maybe, should I have not looked this up? What is this? They're awesome. Field and Forests. GF24. What's their GF24? Grifola frondosa 24. Okay, let me know how that goes, because I've not tried any of Field and Forest's maitake yet. I don't think. Or no, I did. Did I? I'll have to look at my notes now. It was before I even got sick that I was running that trial. And there are just like spots of my memory that are like around the time that I got sick and just before, like there are things that I just don't remember. I tried Norse 4. I got Maine Kevin Stems, maitake. I got the Dancing Hens from Lenny Rockwell. I got 2 from Norse 4. I think I did get a Field and Forest one. So I can't remember. A double star plate is the shit. It really is. I love mine after my third one. Yeah, dude, it's the dual plates are by far the better value proposition. In fact, I think Ben's like, I don't even want to make single stir plates, so I'm just going to make the double stir plates such a good deal. Nobody will buy the singles, and people are still buying the singles. He's like, well, whatever. So, boy, man, I just noticed every now and then, like, I'll see it in the camera. I've been losing weight, and so now I've got like these like fleshy bits. I'm sure everybody wants to see them, but it's every now and then I'll see it and I'll be like, ooh, I look good, and then I'll see it and I'll be like, ugh, it's kind of saggy looking. And it's just because I can see it on camera. But yeah, man, those third plates are just, oh my gosh, they're phenomenal. Ben, I love Ben's mind. Ben and I have been friends. I've known Ben since third grade, but in third grade, he and I thought each other were assholes. But we had the same class, Miss Word, and we both had the same appreciation for Miss Word because we both came in reading at like a kindergartner's level kind of thing. And then Miss Word really worked with us, and she knew how to incentivize. And she incentivized Ben and I like into this competition to where we both came out of third grade reading at like a high school seniors level, which is where they just stopped testing the elementary schoolers. And it was through the accelerated reader program. So she taught us how to gamify the system, get as many points as possible, but in doing so, literally got us to be like the best readers in the class. She was the best. And then by fifth grade, Ben and I were friends. So, and then middle school, we became really good friends. And then high school, and Ben has always just had a very intriguing mind. So he's got to design it. Like I'll put it to you this way: Ben's got 9 brothers and sisters. So, when they did stuff, like when somebody would have a birthday, they would all make each other gifts and things like that. If Ben wanted something in life, he either had to figure out a way to make the money to do it or just build it himself. So every computer Ben ever had, he built, pretty much. Like, they weren't poor. There was a lot of kids. And so like Ben has been a maker ever since he was a child, and he's just learned the really good design and how to design things you wouldn't normally be able to get for the resources that normal people would have or whatever. I see a cat war going on in my background. That older kitten really is not gentle with those younger ones. But all right, everybody. Let me know I'm going to head out, but stay and listen to the outro. Tell me what you think of the song. I worked with the AI to do it. One of the few good uses of AI there. No, I'm actually kind of a fan. As much as I feel like I probably shouldn't be. Anyways, thank you guys very much for having a wonderful evening with me, or making this a wonderful evening for me. And hopefully you had a wonderful evening too. I will see y'all next week. Again, if anybody's in the Discord, I will be doing the Discord chat. Should be Tuesday or Wednesday coming up. And don't forget that we've got ready to fruit blocks available, spawn, extracts, cultures, the best nutritional premixes you're going to find on the market. It will improve well, unless you're using my mix already, it will improve your results no matter whose genetics you're using. Best results are my nutrition, my strains, Man of War stir plates. And with that, y'all, keep spawning culture.
Yo, Andrew in the lab coat, lantern, jaw, shadow, microscope, halo, petri dish, tableau, stir plate, cyclone, liquid gold, whirlpool, feeding spore scripture through the culture school. Samantha with the steady hand, razor like a plan, shaves a sliver off the egger like a desert wind can. Jars clink, hymns when the shelf choir hums, every lid's a sealed drum where mycelium comes. Keep spawning culture, roots in the rust belt soil, turn dust into kingdom with the clean room toil. From the block to the plate to the LC shine, every strand's got a story in the Mossy Creek mine. Yo, Mad Hat Hatchery, pink oysters, tap dance, lion's mane maneuvers with a heresy.